Anytime you're part of a final, you have to count your blessings.
We want to win this trophy for the fans.
We just want to get the W and go home. That's our goal, to win all the trophy.
Robinson with the reply!
As long as we get that win done, I'll be happy.
To Maxwell, lobs it up, the alley-oop and flush down. Michael. Oh, and a huge dunk. Driving it. Oh, my! Oh, watch out. Dirk Williams out on the break. Drops it in, and Edwards.
Edwards does everything.
Liggins again.
And that's where you see this NBA caliber shine.
We're building up to the Cup final with two teams that have been riding high all season long. Talent aplenty, two fast-paced, free-wheeling offenses featuring some of the biggest and the best names in the BBL. They're looking to take down the first trophy of the season, and in doing so, land a bitter blow on a fierce rival. London Newcastle tips off soon, and all the build-up is right here on Sky Sports. Of course, the big news is that London are going to be missing a number of players today, Kieran. They're isolating because of COVID-19 protocols. So just 7 players representing for the Lions today. How's that going to change the dynamic of the game?
It's completely changing the dynamic, in my opinion. You know, I was saying I've been doing my homework this week, and I've been watching the inside presence of London Lions. They've been really scoring the ball down low, little drop-off passes, a little pick and roll action for dunks. Those players who I was focusing on won't even be playing tonight. So I guess the way they've been scouting, the way they've been preparing for this game has completely changed. But at the same time, they have all the talent in that squad still there, ready to compete tonight.
I guess the trap for Newcastle is to avoid not getting complacent. They're not going to consciously do that, of course, but there's no doubt about it. And Mike, you tell us as a player when you hear that a number of key players, key starters for the Lions are going to be missing today. That obviously gives you an advantage. You must feel that it gives you an advantage.
100%. I think also having that news come right on game day is a bit surprising, and we're kind of seeing a power shift here where London was kind of favored beforehand, and then now all of a sudden Newcastle is kind of looking like that. So there's that added little bit of pressure on Newcastle now. London's shorthanded. You guys got to come and take this game away.
Because that adversity could really motivate the London players, of course, couldn't it?
I think of all the teams, I look at the way Vince prepares this team. They've always got this chip on their shoulder. Like I've been watching them this season thinking, they play like they're underdogs. They're not underdogs. They're expected to win, but then they use that to their advantage. So I guarantee the players, specifically players like Weir, are using this to motivate them to say, look, no one expects us now to win. We're going to go out there and show ourselves.
Okay, let's take a look at the history of these two teams, because to follow Kieran's point, this is a Newcastle side that knows all about winning. 7 titles, 6 cups. They're perennial winners, aren't they, Mike?
100%. They're the most successful team in BBL history, and if you kind of look at the matchups here, it's kind of old money versus new money here. The London Lions have kind of just arrived in the last couple seasons with the arrival of Justin Robinson, and they're really changing the culture there. But Newcastle Eagles, they've got it figured out. They've got their formula down. Look at all those titles that it goes to prove it.
And of course, they're led by 2 coaches at very different stages of their career, right? Vince McCauley, one of the most experienced the BBL has ever seen. Coach Mack, just at the start of his career. But it's been a pretty good start to life at the top for him.
Yeah, and definitely. And I look at Coach Mack. He was obviously working under Fabulous Fernley, who was the winningest coach in that respect. So he's learned a lot, but he's also put his own stamp on the game, and I think this is for him a very, very important game. He wants this cup to kind of show what he can bring to the table.
Huge afternoon for him. Both teams made moves in the off-season. In London's case, a lot of moves, but we are going to be missing a number of those players today. So let's see what their roster looks like. Kevin Ware, you'll see at the very top. They're incredible talent. A lot of you might remember him. He got injured in the March Madness tournament. Still feels he could play at the NBA level, Mike.
Yeah, 100%. And he's a guy who's vocal and very active on Twitter, and he wants his name to be out there. But looking at the rest of the roster, I mean, this is half the team of what they were, but I mean, that you look at that could be a BBL roster anywhere in the league. They could compete with anybody. And the biggest thing that stands out to me is that they got Dirk Williams, Justin Robinson, and Orlando Parker. They're 3 highest scorers, with Dirk scoring just under 20 points. So they've got guys that can still put numbers on the board. I think where they'll suffer is inside. Shane Walker and Parker will have to carry a lot of the load in the paint. Keeping them out of foul trouble and managing their minutes will be key.
And they're all going to have to carry a lot of the load in terms of minutes on court, right, Kieran?
Yeah, minutes on court. I think they're everyone's capable of playing those minutes. A seven-man rotation in this league is quite common. So they definitely will be up to the challenge, and they haven't played all week. So it's one of those situations that actually it's probably worked out in their favour that they're well rested for this game.
One of the criticisms, particularly early on with this incarnation of the Lions, was that there was an embarrassment of riches, that Coach McCauley was struggling to feed all the mouths to keep everybody happy. So at least that removes that problem, doesn't it?
It definitely takes the pressure off them on their rotations, and accountability perspective. Sometimes when you're in a shorter rotation, you make a mistake, you're straight to the bench. Players are going to get to be able to play through their mistakes today.
Let's take a look at the Newcastle roster. They are pretty much at full strength. Two-time MVP Ramon Fletcher, a player we've seen a few times on Sky this season already. And of course, he's not just a great player, he's very much a big-time clutch player, isn't he?
Oh, he loves these moments. He steps up to this. I can't remember a silverware game where he hasn't had a big game. So he's averaging 18 points right now and leading the league in assists with 8 assists. So he is the heart and soul of this team. But they've got a lot of good pieces here. Another guy who's playing really well as of late is Cortez Edwards. You got Justin Gordon, who's having big games, and then the big man in the middle in Maxwell. So they've got a deep roster. They have the ability to go 7-8 guys deep as well.
Lots of experience on there as well. Drew Lasker, Darius Defoe, over 30 years experience between them, and that experience will be so vital, of course, in today's game. Well, Kieran caught up with Darius and Justin Robertson earlier this week, 2 players who know each other inside out.
Obviously, you go way back. How do you know each other?
I probably remember Darius like more than he remembers me. I remember like being probably about 10 years old and we was playing under 16s, and we used to play at Mobley, and there was a team called, was it Broadwater Heat? What team? Yeah. And Darius and these other guys, like these guys were like man-childs, but these guys walking, they're throwing the ball off the board, dunking, alley-oops. I mean, that was the first time I saw Darius. And then obviously, like over the years, he played for White Heat, I played for Brixton, and then, Brixton and White Heat always had that love-hate relationship, like on the court, it was a rivalry. Off the court, it was all love between us.
And guys, you remember when he was a 10-year-old?
I remember playing for Broadwater Farm, back in the days. Well, like you say, it's when we cross in 4 lines, it's a love-hate relationship, but off court, we cool.
Well, I was saying I had that love-hate relationship with you guys as well, because like both of you beat me in a final, so.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
So that's the only thing I have in common with you guys, that I've lost to both of you in finals. So 3 cup finals.
I apologize. Someone's got to lose, man.
Hope that's Justin.
Nah. That's Newcastle, man.
You don't think he's gonna lose?
Nah, man. Nah, we're confident. You know what I'm saying? We're rolling, man. We're rolling.
What makes you so confident then?
I mean, we're just rolling, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, we're in a good place. We're starting to gel as a team. And, the chemistry is perfect right now. So,
Well, so we rolling too. Chemistry is there. We're playing as a team.
Hey, I mean, we'll see, innit? We'll see Sunday, innit? We'll see.
We'll see. We want to win this trophy for the club, for the fans, Newcastle fans. We want to make sure that we win it.
I'm looking at rivalries right now, and Newcastle, London. Is that how you see it? Do you see that as this is the team we have to beat? Obviously, Leicester are still in that mix, but is that the way you kind of approach those kind of games?
It is a rivalry, because each year, or the combination of those 3 teams competing for, the cup, the trophy, the playoffs, just the league championship. So you just know that when you're playing Newcastle, you got to be locked in, you got to come correct, you got to do your prep work.
We try to worry about what we do. We're not watching what everybody else is doing. We try and take care of our business.
You shouldn't need the fans and stuff to get you motivated for a final, but do you think it will be different? Like, how have you found it thus far during the season? Like,
what? At the start, it was kind of weird, No fans, you can't feed off the energy, the atmosphere. As a team, we've found a way to kind of generate our own energy, our own hype, and our own momentum, Whether it's guys getting each other going, clapping or making noise, or, just trying to bring that energy each and every game, you know. So I feel like we've done a good job at that.
And that's why you've got 20 players on your roster, so you've got more fans in the, in the arena. What do you respect and admire most about each other's teams?
You always have to respect what, you know, Paul Blake and what Fab done. You always have to respect that as an athlete, as a basketball player, a team that has, and, you know, they've been successful. So, you know, you always got to respect that.
I respect the whole London club, you know. Me being from London, I want to win this one, just to have the one up on them. So when I come to London, they can't tell me nothing. You understand?
But who in your team is there? You know that they're the ones that can really get under people's skin.
I mean, we've got a bunch of guys. Like you said, you know, like I'm not really that guy to kind of, unless someone starts with me, you know, then I'll, you know, respond or, you know, retaliate. But yeah, man, it's like my game. You're talking, man. You know, if it gets heated or whatever, you know, I just try to pick up the intensity. You know, be extra physical. You know, hard defense, stuff like that. But
the thing is, it doesn't matter who's on the court. If someone on the other team says anything to anyone on the court or look at them the wrong way, then everyone just flip a switch and then we're ready to go.
Honestly, I wish you guys the best of luck. Stay healthy. Make sure it's a good final, and I'll see you guys on Sunday.
Two players that are undoubtedly going to have a key contribution to make in the Cup final this afternoon. Let's check in now with the London Lions head coach, Vince McCauley. Vince, great to see you, looking particularly dapper, may I say, as well. And what a dramatic weekend it's been for you so far. Talk us through the last 24 hours.
Well, it might actually be the last 240 hours rather than the last 24. I think, listen, I'm here to represent my players, the players who are on the floor representing the London Lions, and my players that are at home that can't be here. We put a lot of work into the last 5 months into what we wanted to achieve. Some of that has been taken away from us, but we're in a pandemic, and you know, let's not forget that. You know, as we stand at this time, there are over 1,100,000 people in this country infected with the virus. That's 1 in 55. In London, that's 1 in 35. So there is a virus out there, and it's not a case of laying blame on people. It's about understanding you need to stay safe. We've followed all protocols, whether that be FIBA, BBL, the government, the NHS, we've done so. And we believe we've done the right thing. We make sure our guys are healthy. Those who are unhealthy are not here. Those who have had to isolate, and those who are completely healthy are here today.
Well, Vince, you mentioned FIBA. How has the situation affected your European campaign?
I don't know. I've put that out of my mind because, you know, earlier on in the week I had basically, you know, 16 very disappointed players. You know, there are 36 people who work for the London Lions. There's a lot of people here. We've taken a lot of precautions with our players. Our players live individually in their own self-contained apartments. They go to practice and back by taxis. We don't use public transport. We do everything we can. So as far as the FIBA situation is concerned, I don't think the virus is only contained in the UK. I think it's everywhere. And whatever decision is made out there, I've blocked it out for right now. I'll deal with that after we've won this cup.
Yeah, we've got a big game to take care of. Let's talk about the mindset of the players that are here then. Do you think in many ways the pressure might be eased a little bit and what's happened might galvanise them today?
Well, we'll have to wait and see how the final goes. I mean, we haven't felt any pressure, if I'm really honest with you. We have the best players in the country. You know, we're on a roll right now, and we were going to beat anybody we faced. I still expect us to win today. It's not about the pressure. We don't feel any pressure, and there is no pressure now or before.
What would winning the Cup mean for Lions fans, for you after the year we've had, the week that you've had, the odds stacked against you today, Vince?
You know what? I'm looking over there at that cup, and I've won that cup 2 times. The London Lions have won that cup 2 times. We're undefeated in BBL Cup finals. It means a lot to us. It's the first trophy our organization ever won. We have new people in control of our organization right now who have high ambitions, and one of those ambitions is to win this trophy. It's going to mean a lot to us, and really it's going to mean a lot to all of my players who are at home, and I want to lift that cup and yell out their names.
Go well today, Coach.
Thank you.
Really difficult situation, of course, considering when you look at this Lions roster, you look at all the acquisitions, it was built, and they've talked about it, to win on all fronts. So it must be devastating. He's putting a brave face on it, the events of the last 24, 48 hours.
And, you know, Vince spoke very eloquently there, you know, but at the same time you can tell that there's a heart inside of him. You know, he's prepared so much, they've put so much into this organisation. This winning today will honestly be so big for them. It will be something that's a little relief after a really, really tough couple of days.
Because they talked about it before this news broke. They talked about the next 10 days being the biggest in the history of this franchise, mate.
Yeah, and then to receive that news at this time, the timing of it is so terrible. But I think Vince is, taking it pretty well for what it is, and you got to look at the positives. He's still got 7 guys ready to go. We're in a cup final. I mean, I've got 2 of them under my belt, and I know, it didn't matter when we're looking down our bench. It mattered, it's a fight, and when you go out there, you want to win.
Let's take a look at some of those players that have been out there on court today. Dirk Williams, a lot on his shoulders today. Some players step up when they have a cast around them. Other players, when all the emphasis is on them, the onus is on them, are able to step up. What kind of player is Dirk?
Dirk is an incredible player. He played with me at the Sharks 2 years ago. He's really stepped up for the London Lions. He's a guy who can play off the ball. He can come off screens. He can catch and shoot, and then he can also create for himself. I think we saw a few games earlier this season when Liggins was out with injury. Dirk really stepped up. He had a 37-point game. When he was with me at the Sharks, he had over 40-plus point game. So I've seen it firsthand what he can do. But for me, it's his efficiency, and especially from beyond the arc. He could go off for a night and hit 8, 9, 10 threes.
Could be a big afternoon for him. Could be a big afternoon for Kevin Ware as well. I mentioned we were looking at the roster. Kobe, LeBron, when he got that injury for Louisville in March Madness, reaching out. He was a player that got national attention, and of course it changed the trajectory of his career. But he's been in fine form in the BBL, in particular his shooting.
I think more than any player on the floor today, he will be the most motivated with the situation that's happened. He will use that to his advantage. I expect a big game from Kevin Ware tonight, and he's going to need it. The ball's going to be put in his hand alongside Justin, and he's going to have to go to work if they want to have a chance of winning tonight. So I'm expecting a really, really big game from him.
Okay, the Lions will still feel they have a big shot, but this Eagles side is formidable. As we continue our build-up to the men's final, we'll meet some of the stars of Newcastle next. Welcome back to our coverage of the BBL Cup final. Newcastle, London getting closer to tip-off. And we'll turn our attention now to the Newcastle Eagles and a team, Kieran Achari, love to play fast, up-tempo ball. Coach Mack talks about the 100-possession ambition. This is an exciting side to watch, isn't it?
Very exciting, and actually Mike and me were just speaking about it there. Sometimes you've scored, playing against them, you've worked really hard to score a basket, and then you turn around and they've just scored a basket at the other end. So they're just relentless. They're just so fast-paced. They turn the ball over quite a bit, but that's the sacrifice they're willing to make to play that kind of tempo.
These are two teams, of course, that know each other incredibly well, and they've squared off 4 times already this season with the honours even, Mike.
Yeah, definitely. And, the London Lions have only lost 1 game in the regular season this year, and that is to the Newcastle Eagles, the first game of the season. Obviously, the Lions got their revenge back on January the 8th. So the Lions have that game in hand, but, I mean, they're looking a little bit depleted right now, so I give it to Newcastle.
All right, Coach Ian McLeod, Newcastle Eagles head coach, standing by to chat to us now. Coach, thanks very much for your time ahead of the game. The final, of course, is turned on its head in the last 24 hours with a number of the Lions players out. Do you feel that puts added pressure on you today?
No, I mean, we only focused on things we can't control, and I think if we learned anything from March last year, it's that we can't control those off-court issues. So our preparation hasn't changed at all. It's still going to be 5v5 to begin with, and the 5 that they have are extremely strong.
You've talked about previous encounters this season, and the thing that can give you the edge is your cohesion over London. How do you think that battle might change in this game, given the adversity that the London Lions have faced in the last day or so?
Well, adversity is where growth occurs. It's a very cliched phrase, but we learned that in March last year for the trophy final. We lost 3 players, 2 starters, 24 hours before the game, and that really solidified us as a group. So we don't expect them to lie down. They're going to play with a lot of pride. They're going to play with a lot of frustration. Might even lead to more aggressive play, but they certainly won't lack motivation.
Your career as a head coach got off to a great start, of course, last season, winning the BBL trophy. So I guess you're reminding your players that you're 100% in cup finals.
Not really, because it's a totally different team. We're not the same team as we were last year. The work we do every day, day in, day out, that no one sees, that's the important part to us, not what record book says or what the history book says. It's how we earn it every day is the important part.
Coach, you're the BBL Coach of the Month right now. We've just been talking about the fast tempo, the style of play, the 100-possession target. How important is it to you as a coach that your team entertains as well as wins?
Not really. That's not really the point to entertain. I believe it puts a lot of pressure on teams when we play fast. I know Kieran says we have high turnovers, but I think Kieran should look at turnovers per possessions as opposed to total turnovers. But no, we play fast for tactical reasons, not simply to entertain. But I think North East sports teams are expected to entertain a little bit as well. Fair.
A player that's entertaining us all certainly is the current BBL Player of the Month, Cortez Edwards. He was terrific on Sky last week as well. He's timing this rich vein of form perfectly, isn't he, Coach?
He is, yeah, but it's kind of what he's been doing all year, very quietly. He's never put up 30 points for us. Other players have done that around the league and maybe grabbed some headlines. But he's consistently delivered to various different phases of the game. So he really is a consistent player. It's not about having a hot month or a hot couple of weeks. He delivers all the time.
Coach, how much would a win today mean to the Eagles organisation, the fans, the people in Newcastle, given the events of the last 12 months that we've all been through?
Yeah, I mean, it's huge for everyone. A little bit of hope is what we want from sport, a little bit of something we can put our passion in and, yes, be entertained like you mentioned earlier, but we're a programme who wants to compete and to win on the highest stages, and this is just another opportunity to do that.
Coach, appreciate your time. Go well today.
Thank you very much.
Let's look at Cortez Edwards in a bit more detail than his numbers. Kieran emphasised what a key all-round player he is. He's contributing with points, with rebounds, with assists. He's the total package, isn't he?
He is, and I keep saying this every time I cover him. It's the offensive rebounds I'm impressed with. Such a smaller player, obviously so athletic, but his hunger and desire to go after these rebounds, it just shows you that's the kind of player he is at all ends of the floor.
Mike, you played against him last week, of course. He was MVP. When he's in form like that, he's almost unstoppable, isn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he hit a huge shot to finish off the half with a buzzer beater. It just completely deflated us. But he's one of those guys. They've got Fletcher and him in the front court, and they play that fast, high-tempo basketball. That's where they thrive. So he's great at that. He's great at pushing the ball up the court. 7 rebounds a game for a guard is absolutely huge, and he's top 10 in the league in assists as well. So
we're seeing Justin Gordon on the screen there. Interesting, some comments he made this week. Talked about the tough part of the final, Kieran. Of course, they were in that incredibly difficult group. Leicester in the semi. final, in the semi-final, and they don't want to put all that hard work to waste today.
It's just the willingness to win. No, it's not worth it if they don't get that silverware. So right now they're just fixated on getting that silverware, and that's it. Nothing else matters.
In terms of the head-to-head, a key battle as well, of course, Justin Robinson and Ramon Fletcher. We talked about Ramon Fletcher being obviously one of the key players in the league, but loving this kind of occasion. So this is going to be a fascinating battle today.
100%. You know, these are two proven guys in this league. They're both former MVPs. They're both great leaders and a similar style of play. So I think, you know, it's not only about them, but they get their teams involved in play, and their leadership qualities will shine through today.
Ramon Fletcher's been MVP in half of the finals he's played, and Justin Robinson, one of the great players in the BBL as well, but he hasn't as yet been able to replicate that typical form in the big game.
He hasn't had to. And that's a matter of fact. Like I said, I've played both of those guys in finals. You know, and I think that there was less pressure on Robinson in those finals, whilst Fletcher was essentially the game changer and was needed at those times.
How did their respective games compare and contrast, Kieran?
I would say that I think Justin, to me, is a little bit more composed in the sense that it's all about just fitting in the team. He doesn't need to have the ball. He doesn't need to be involved. He just wants to do whatever it takes to win. While Fletcher, I think the ball goes through him most of the time. And that's something that he wants to do as well. So I believe they're very evenly matched, but at the same time, different kind of perception.
Okay, we're getting very close to tip-off in the big game. The players about to come out on court. So for their introductions, I'll hand back over to Ant Rowe and Dan Routledge.
Thank you very much, Nat. Yes, indeed, we're only a few minutes away now from the BBL Cup final, first silverware of the season, a third cup final for the London Lions. They, of course, beat the Eagles, as Vince McCauley said, for their first ever piece of silverware back in 2008, 69-66. We'd sign up for a game of that level of excitement once again and beat Kieran and the Rocks in 2019, but now the teams will be introduced, and there is no team more successful than the Newcastle Eagles, a 33rd BBL final at.
Well, it goes without saying, I've experienced it firsthand, their wrath and their power. They are a powerhouse in British basketball, and rightfully so under new coach Ian McCall. They continue to be successful.
And they have had the hardest possible route, really, to this final. No gimme games at all for this Newcastle Eagles lineup as they get introduced to the crowd. And just one note on their roster. Shoei Adenekin not in the lineup. You have to be registered 14 days before a final to play in a final, and his first game for the Eagles was 12 days ago, so he's missed out by a couple of days on the cup rules. So he is in his tracksuit and will not play tonight. And of course, this afternoon, I keep saying tonight, this afternoon. Of course, the interesting thing, the London Lions lineup, we talked all about who is here, who isn't here. Just park that for a second. When you look at the 7 players that are on the lineup, if you had 7 players and 3 kids from the academy, say, on the thing, that is a BBL Cup final roster right there. They've got enough talent to play in this game. Now, there's a whole ton of talent that is not here as well, but the Lions, what they have is pretty good.
Yeah, don't be under any illusion, Dan. I've heard the word depleted a few times already tonight, but when I look at this 7 is very good. Filled with not only talent, but you've got those experienced players that have won championships in this league before. Justin Robinson, former MVP. Shane Walker, of course, won championships in this very building. So you've got individuals that have been there and done it. Josh Ward-Hibbert, another individual who understands what the little things and what it takes to win championships.
Well, Shane Walker is playing in his 8th final. He is 5-2 in finals. Josh Ward-Hibbert in his 6th final, he's won all 5. So 2 guys who know what it's about at this stage of the season.
Well, if history is anything to go into today, you'd want characters like that on your team for sure.
And of course, Dirk Williams has also played in a final, in the trophy final of 2018. He was on the losing end of it at that stage against the Leicester Riders, but they have 16 finals appearance between the roster that they have out there. And well, let's see. And in some ways, you know, they all know what their job is going to be. It shortens the rotation for the London Lions. Well, the cup final is only a few minutes away. It is the London Lions against the Newcastle Eagles, and we will have tip-off when we return. Welcome back to Leicester, first final in this city since 1985. The snow is coming down thick and fast outside the Morningside Arena, but we have what promises to be a great cup final in front of us. It's the London Lions against the Newcastle Eagles as they bid to claim the first silverware of the season. And we can just about get ready for tip-off as Coach McLeod, who won his first trophy at the start of, well, it was last year, wasn't it? In March. It seems so long ago in the trophy final. Vince McCauley always looks good on the big occasion with his gold tie and waistcoat. Let's have a look at the starting fives for the two teams. And this is the starting five for the London Lions, and Nat touched on it. Justin Robinson actually shooting 28% from the floor and 15% from three-point range in major finals. This game is set up for him to break that duck and have a big one.
Exactly, and I think he's no stranger to big stages. And look, he's the leader. He's the leader, he's the orchestrator of their offense, and he'll be wanting to get Derek Williams, formidable shooter, averaging 20 points a game. Orlando Parker, let's not forget about him. Under the radar, one of the best players in the league at the moment.
Well, let's have a look at the starting five for the Newcastle Eagles, and this is a pretty consistent lineup for them. Edwards has been playing incredible for them, and talk about a guy who never has a bad final. Ramon Fletcher, 4 finals MVPs in 8 appearances. His worst game, he had 15 points and 4 assists. He always shows up when the lights are brightest.
Big players come up in big situations, and Ramon Fletcher is certainly that. And you look at his support cast there, looks like an all-star team.
And the team's taking their knee to show their solidarity against racism and inequality ahead of this BBL Cup final. And we are ready to go. It is Shane Walker, who has played in 7 finals before today, who jumps up against Maxwell, and it is the Newcastle Eagles who will get the opening possession of the game. Having won here, of course, in the semi-final, and there's an offensive foul on Maxwell right at the bat, and that is probably one area where Newcastle might be thinking we can exploit here. The big man inside, he gets an early foul.
For sure, not great news there for Evan Maxwell. He's so much of an impact offensively as well. A guy who can score in bunches, inside, outside. He's 6'10", always a useful body size in the final.
And a turnover there. We've been joined in commentary by Mike Tuck. I suppose that's probably the interesting dynamic in this game, the bigs in this situation.
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit before the game. I think that's going to be a key for Newcastle is targeting those bigs. You know, you only got Shane Walker and Parker. If you can get them tired or in foul trouble, that could change the game.
First points of the final on the board for Justin Robinson. An easy run-out layup. Edwards gets it back. He goes to the basket, uses the rim well, and gets the roll for 2.
Fantastic give and go there. Of course, as Edwards passes that ball off, doesn't stay still. Times his cut perfectly. Nice reverse finish.
Of course, he was in the final last year with Worcester. A lot of turnovers here. Here's Gordon out in transition, and he flushes it down.
Wow, and you see what he did there as well. The defender doesn't want to pick up his foul, any foul trouble. London Lions rotating 7 players, so you'll see a very cautious approach from each of their individuals at the start of this game.
Here's Walker. He loves that shot. Top of the key for 3. You've got to close him out.
Yes, you do. Shooting 50% from the 3-point line. He is someone you have to contest.
He's knocked them down in this building before as well. Here's Edwards in the corner to reply with 3 of his own. It doesn't go. Here's Robinson working the pick and roll. Couldn't quite get the pass over Pfluger. Fletcher looking to go to work against Walker all the way to the basket.
Extremely aggressive play from Fletcher. If he sees any daylight, he's taking it. He goes, great offensive play from him there.
Here's Ware. Penetrating himself, kicking it off, and that's an offensive foul on Kevin Ware. It's Gordon who's on the floor, having taken the charge.
Oh, Kevin Ware just trying to get something to happen, penetrating in the heart of that defense, but both teams very careless with the basketball. I don't know if it's a sense of nerves or just wanting to ease into this game, but both teams are looking at very tentative as they move that ball around.
4th turnover of the game for the Lions. We've only played a couple of minutes, and as you say, Newcastle have a couple as well. London showing some full court pressure. Pfluger drives in, gets all the way to the basket and finishes at the rim.
Really encouraging start for Rex Pfluger there. He's been someone he can tend to go missing in games. You know, he's not a big stat guy, but that's a world of good for his confidence there.
There's Robinson from behind the arc for 3, and he knocks it down. And you must have heard me talking about his 3-point shooting.
Yeah, and those are the type of things that Robinson's going to need to do this game. He's going to have to be a little bit more aggressive than he usually is. You know, with Liggins sitting out and a bunch of their other scorers out, he's going to have to take a bulk of that scoring load on his shoulders.
There's Williams driving through. Fletcher picks his pocket. Fletcher, nice pass, disguised it well to get it to Maxwell. Trying to use his strength down low, takes the foul from Shane Walker, and he will shoot 2.
And then when you look at this London Lions roster, Shane Walker is the only one really that can do any type of containment on Evan Maxwell. So you want, if you're on the London Lions camp, you'd want Shane Walker to stay, out of foul trouble in this ball game as much as possible, especially in the earlier stages.
First one is short. The second one is good.
definitely something Coach Mack will be saying to his bigs. You know, feed those big guys, be aggressive, take it at them. Let's get them in foul trouble. Let's wear them down over the course of this game.
Here's Robinson. Creates some space for himself. That one rims out. Kept alive by Parker, but it goes to Fletcher. London transition defense good there. You can't let the Eagles get out on the break. Here's Maxwell, takes the shot off the mark. Good rebound from Ware. Ware drives to the hole up high. Ball batted about. Parker comes down with it, and he converts. Lions in the lead.
I love that energy from Orlando Parker, and we said it time and time again. He's a guy that can get 20, 25 points. He's very, very efficient.
Luger on to Fletcher. Fletcher's shot is blocked by Williams. Oh, Fluger with the steal. Walker keeps it alive. Robinson driving in. On to Walker for another at the top. Not this time.
Good look, though, from Lions. You'd want Shane Walker stepping into that shot.
Maxwell for three. Off the back of the iron. Robinson from behind the arc. Luger with the rebound.
I think you're right in what you said, though, Mike. You know, Justin's certainly looking for a shot early. He's a lot more aggressive than he usually is.
Yeah, I think that shot was maybe a little bit too quick there. I think they need to get some sort of rhythm, some offense going. So I'd like to see him control the team and the flow of the offense a bit better. But hey, this is a high-scoring game. We see there's going to be a lot of points in transition from both sides here. We've got the two top offensive teams, you know, in the league going head-to-head right now.
Yeah, Kevin Ware taking it right to the basket on that occasion. Edwards just a little bit too low for Gordon to reach down there and grab that loose ball, and a substitution both ways. Let's see, just didn't quite have enough on it. And Darius Defoe coming into the game for the Newcastle Eagles, and he draws level with his former player coach Fab Flanoy, a 28th major final for Darius. He and Fab are by far and away the two with the most. Here's Josh Ward-Hibbert straight into the action, and of course he's missed most of the season through injury. Here's Defoe. Pick and roll with Fletcher. Sayers. Two guys wanting it in the same block there. Sayers go! Thrown out by Dirk Williams.
A couple early blocks from Dirk Williams, showing us all just how athletic he is. Sayers doing the right thing, trying to be aggressive, going to the rim, but Dirk Williams is not today.
3.7 on the shot clock here. Sayers has to rearrange and throws it behind the basket again. Got his shot challenge.
Yeah, another one. You can see Dirk's length really helps him out on the defensive end. You know, when he was on the Sharks, I've been on the wrong end of a few of those blocks in practice. So yeah, Dirk really has to be aggressive on that defensive end, but can't get any easy fouls.
Unfortunately, nobody films the practices to replay on social media.
Thank God.
Here's Robinson, late in the shot clock. Loses the dribble, needs to fire it up under pressure. He does hit the ring, so that's live. Ward-Hibbert on the offensive glass. He's very sneaky at getting those boards. Here's Williams. Mid-range is short. Long rebound out to Defoe. Woo! Threw that a bit high. Edwards looking to attack. And a little bump foul from Robinson, who taps his chest and says, "My fault." I don't know if he wants a sub actually here, Justin Robinson. Well, he's walking towards the thing. If he did want a sub, Vincent said we'll have a timeout. give you a minute's breather without having to take you out of the game.
All about compromise.
Yeah. Well, he's got 5 of his team's points. And, well, interestingly, you come into this game and you think, well, Newcastle, we know all about them. They want to push the pace. They want 100 possessions per game. They want to run it up and down. London, a team with all their players who can do that, but with this narrowed roster are probably even more effective at doing that.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, they have it in them to score 95 points, 100 points over that a game. And I think if it does kind of turn into one of those matches that London probably, if they were at full strength, did have the upper hand. But I mean, we look at this London roster, they're still a solid team.
Yeah.
They still got 7 guys that could probably be starters on different BBL teams around the league. So it'll be interesting to see how they do down the stretch. How are they going to manage foul trouble? How are they going to manage each other's minutes? You've got some guys in this lineup now that are going to be playing, 35, 38, 40 minutes that typically aren't used to doing that. So Vince has got a tough job on his hand managing all that.
We have seen this, though, be an advantage, Dan. I mean, we've seen a 7-man rotation where, you've got to think individually the players can have their confidence up as well. You've got a guy that usually plays 15 minutes. He's now playing 25. He's not scared when he misses a shot. He knows he's not going to be subbed out. So what that does is it just gives you more confidence as a player that if you do make a mistake, you've got time to make up for that and some.
Yeah, and I think we've seen a lot of mistakes so far. There's been a bunch of turnovers. It's been a pretty chippy game, so I think they'll start to settle in eventually.
Well, Justin Robinson does come out of the game. Jules Dangakoto into the final for the first time. Lions come out in a zone defense. There's Maxwell trying to feed to Defoe. Pass knocked away. Lions with the steal. Here is Dangakoto going right to the basket. Jules Dangakoto for 2.
Instant offense, baby. Welcome to the game. Great offensive take right there, finishing over 2 defenders.
Here's Edwards. Back to Defoe. Edwards gets into the lane, has to fire it high. Maxwell with the offensive rebound. And I think it's Parker who's called for the foul.
Maxwell could be a very, very big problem for the London Lions. He's 6'10", he's big, and he's an offensively energized player. Defensively, yes, he still has a position and a role to play, but offensively, that's where we've seen him really come in full impact for this Newcastle Eagles team.
Well, he has the potential not only to provide them with some offense, but also use up some of those fouls and give Vince some things to think about.
Yeah, I mean, he's a big body. You put him in the middle of the paint anytime a guy's driving and sees a big tree like that, he's going to change your opinion on whether you want to go up or he could change a shot as well.
Well, he sits down now as he's replaced by Gordon. Ware brings it across midcourt. Williams looking to attack. Nice shot from Dirk Williams.
It's tough, and that's what he can do. He's so athletic. His elevation gets above the defender, so he's got hand time enough to adjust any shot.
Fletcher for 3, knocks it down. Ramon Fletcher with his first triple of the game.
Just about to say, Fletcher's been a bit quiet early on here, and he knocks down a 3 right away.
Offensive foul called in the low post against Parker. You can see him here trying to find position. And Darius Defoe making sure the referee saw the contact there.
That salty face from Darius right there. We've seen that a few times over the years.
28 major finals. He's had a few practices to work on that face.
Here he is with the offensive end, working with Fletcher. Drives in, gets it to Gordon, behind the back to Fletcher. Foul called against Dangakoto, who taps his chest and then shakes his head no.
Well, he did really well there. As a coaching staff, he's not letting him go left. He's not getting him to let go left, and then Fletcher finds a way to somehow get him to commit contact there.
Fletcher, who averages nearly 21 points a game in finals, has 6 already here. Make that 7.
And that's not a 4-7 either, Dan. It's a let the game come to me type of 7.
Ward Hibbett. To Williams. Turns the corner down the lane. Williams blocked by Gordon, but it's saved out to Dangakoto. And tipped in by Josh Ward-Hibbett.
Josh Ward-Hibbett, what he is, he's a competitor. The pleasure of watching him year after year playing for Leicester Riders, and that's essentially what he did every day, competing.
Gordon leaves that one short. Here's Ware driving through, rearranges it, nothing doing. Here's Sayers in the corner where he likes it. Louis Sayers for three.
He is automatic from that corner. He's just, you know, presence of mind to always run to that corner and get set for ready for that shot.
Dangakoto looking to attack again. Lions bench wanting a foul, nothing doing. Here's Fletcher. It's end-to-end stuff here. And that's off the boot of Josh Ward-Hibbett.
Wow, certainly is a fast-paced game. Both teams getting up and down the floor, and Fletcher just trying to thread that needle, but the right foot of Josh Ward-Hibbett says not today.
Robinson back into the game for Walker, so this is a very small lineup for the London Lions. Ward-Hibbett's going to be guarding Defoe. Gordon trying to find some room in the lane, misses but gets his own rebound, and at the second attempt he finishes.
Justin Gordon, just an energised player, both ends of the floor, so athletic.
There's Williams. Oh, pass is deflected away. Can Gordon get there first? Yes, he can, but he's out of bounds. I think it's going to be Lions. Yes, it is. But the Eagles bench appreciating the hustle. He thought he might have got fouled in there somewhere.
Good anticipation for the start there, and he's dove on the ball. Yeah, just trying to throw it off the leg of the opposition there.
Man, I love the hustle though. Look, you know, getting deflections, chasing the ball down, diving on the floor. That's the type of grit you need to win a final.
Well, they've got to go quick here because the shot clock doesn't reset. Ward-Hibbett has to toss it up. He gets it away. And Fletcher with the rebound. 7 seconds to go. Fletcher finds a way through to the left. Oh, a bit short. He did everything but score there, Ramon Fletcher. Well, take a breath. Let's take a pause. A fast pace first quarter. The London Lions trail the Newcastle Eagles by 18 points to 21 here at the Morningside Arena in the BBL Cup final. We will have the second quarter coming up right after this. Hello and welcome back to Leicester. It's the BBL Cup final. The London Lions trailing by 3, who will get us underway here in this second quarter. And it's lightning fast, as you would expect with two teams who like to get up and down the floor.
Really fast. It's got that cup final feel to it. The intensity is level 100. There have been errors, but the intensity levels are high.
Here's Shane Walker at the free throw line, a little bit short. Nice pass into Gordon, and Walker is called for the foul, and this is going to be the problem now for the London Lions with the shorter rotation. Parker on 2 fouls, now Walker joining him on that.
That's huge. Yeah, and something we talked about earlier, like, you know, if you see Gordon rolling or Maxwell Gordon, they got to hit him, because the quicker we can get these big guys in foul trouble, the more beneficial it is to the Eagles. But what a season this kid Gordon's having, eh?
He's legit, isn't he?
Yeah.
I mean, I think we talk so much about, you know, former MVPs, Ramon Fletcher, and, you know, big players that Newcastle have in Maxwell and Cortez Edwards. Sometimes he's went under the radar, but Justin Gordon has stepped up when they've caught upon him.
Yeah, I think so.
Robinson to Walker, to the line, and to the basket, and he will go to the line.
Be interesting to see as well how long Vince will give Shane Walker on the court, because essentially the goal here now is to protect Orlando Parker and Shane Walker. Both got 2 fouls at the moment. You've got to somehow get to this halftime break with them still on 2 fouls apiece.
I'm just rewinding back. I think that was the first time I've ever seen Walker roll instead of pop.
He makes 1 out of 2 from the free throw line. Fletcher for 3, knocks it down. Ramon Fletcher already into double figures.
Well, that was a good screen there, and Josh Woodhibbert decided to go under that screen, but what that means is Ramon Fletcher gets enough space to get off that shot.
That was very close to a foul on Defoe, but Robinson still has the ball. Robinson gets his man up in the air, goes underneath, doesn't get the roll. There's Ward-Hibbert again on the offensive glass. Robinson is fouled by Defoe, and once again, Josh Ward-Hibbert, for a guy who hasn't played basically all season. I mean, he played the European game at the start, but he's not played a league game this year. He doesn't look like he's missed a beat. That's what he always does. He's in and around keeping things alive.
What a way to get thrown into the deep end. All eyes watching you and your team in a cup final. But what Josh Ward-Hibbert is, he isn't what you call a polished, finished article basketball player. You know, doesn't always make the most orthodox moves. But what he is, he's a competitor, and we've seen that here at Leicester Riders. And this is what I think at times this London team has missed. And having him back is going to be a huge insurgence for them.
Well, he spent a lot of time playing tennis, of course, which is probably something to do with it. Inside to Defoe, who scores at the rim.
Yeah, I don't know how much that tennis will be transferable skills, but it's definitely a transferable mindset.
Yeah. He was one of the best youngsters in the game of tennis in this country. Here's Robinson for 3. Rims out for him. Great rebound from Sayers. Fletcher pushing. Throws it straight to Robinson, though. Has Ward-Hibbert with him. Takes it alone. Oh, the follow from Dirk Williams. Throws it down.
It was a bit of a strange fast break there, but the spacing wasn't great, but it didn't matter because the flying Dirk Williams was some response.
Here's Gordon for 3. Off the iron. Williams. Robinson just got that across to Williams, to the step back. Tough shot, rattles out. Good work from Matthew to secure possession. Fletcher dancing, driving, taking the foul. Is that on Walker? If it's on Walker, it's his third. Let's just get confirmation from the official as to what number. 4-4 is shown to the table. Big foul for Shane Walker.
It's way too much contact there. The Shane Walker does go straight up there, but way too much contact on the body, and he will have to go to the bench now. We'll more often than likely not see him until the second half. But it started with Danga Kodu there. You know, he cannot let Ramon Fletcher get back to that left hand, and that's what he did. Ramon Fletcher kept his dribble alive, made it like he was going right, but crosses back over to that left hand, which on the scouting report will say, do not let Ramon Fletcher go left.
It doesn't matter. It's been saying that for years, that he still gets back to that left, no matter what you try and do. There's a reason he's got so many gold basketballs in his cupboard. Here's Maxwell with the rebound. So a lot of pressure as well on Parker now not to pick up that third foul. Oh, zipped one in. Who did that flank? The referees are going to have a word about this. They're not quite sure. Let's see if we can see. Pass comes across.
That's off Edwards to me.
Edwards, yeah.
Well, it's given as a Newcastle ball. Lions in his zone trying to protect the foul situation. Edwards penetrates in. Good stand there from Parker. Made sure he kept his arm straight up. Ware trying to find some way through. Gets it out to Dirk Williams for three. Defoe with the rebound. Fouled from behind by Kevin Ware.
Well, it's a missed shot there, and the issue is that offense wasn't very cohesive whatsoever. Kevin Ware over dribbles the basketball, and then the ball just stays in that one area, one corner. Dirk Williams is forced into taking a deep three, which he did not convert, and Kevin Ware this time picks up the foul.
And I think that's something that Eagles are really good at. They want you to play at their pace. They want you to speed up. They want you to make more mistakes. And I think that's London is playing a bit into their hands right now. I think London needs to slow it down a little bit. Let's get a play. Let's call it a play. Let's get something going. Stop over dribbling. Let's get more passes than dribbles in a possession, and find, give up a good shot for a great shot.
Ooh, just got the line in time there. There was 16 on the clock as he crossed it, but it has to be 15 on these shot clocks for the tenths of a second, so he had probably half of a second to spare. Flutie gets it into Maxwell with the jam.
That is a very, very, very good offense there from the Newcastle Eagles. They score with 1 second remaining on the shot clock.
Robinson drives in, foul by Maxwell, who acknowledges his error, and Robinson to the line for the and one.
Justin Robinson looking very aggressive in this game. That takes him to 9 points personal.
And that's the kind of fire and determination you're going to need to see from your leader, from Justin Robinson right here. Like we said, he's got to step up. He's got to be willing to take, more shots and take a bulk of this scoring on his shoulders.
Second foul on Maxwell. He sits down. Gordon comes back. Robinson converts the three-point play. Kluger. Top of the key. Batted away, but only as far as Edwards. Defoe has it. Left short. Newcastle just about come up with it. Lasker had it and dropped out of bounds. Lasker playing in his 13th major final. He's been in 6 cup finals. This is his 5th now with Newcastle, and of course had one with Plymouth back in the day. You weren't on that Plymouth team when he was playing, were you, Ro?
I wasn't, no.
I don't think so. I don't want to bring up the Plymouth final that you had. Sorry, my mistake.
Yeah, that was a tough game.
You had a good performance.
Thank you, Dan. But I left it cupless, so it was a tough outing.
Cupless.
Yeah. You had a good performance, and Charles Smith had an unbelievable one.
Yes, he did. 39 points, if I remember rightly, and one of those cup final performances that we may see from one of these All-Stars today.
Indeed. You'd have been in real trouble if he had that second contact lens as well. The Newcastle Eagles with possession of the ball here as we reminisce down Newcastle Eagles victories of old, but a poor turnover there gives the ball straight back to London, and Ware steps into the three, and that hits the shot clock and will be a Newcastle ball.
Man, this is a chippy game. It is. I don't know if the excitement level is so high or the intensity, but you're right. There's some really odd turnovers unfolding right before our eyes.
There's Edwards. Back up to Defoe. That's his favourite shooting spot, but it doesn't go in. Great work from Gordon on the glass, and he spins one in.
Just a beast on the boards. He is a wide frame and extremely aggressive on that offensive boards. And, you know, all over the floor, really fills up that stat sheet every night.
Robinson. Round to Ware, takes the three-point shot, rims out. There he is again on the rebounds, Gordon. Fletcher gives it back to him, dumps off to Defoe. Defoe, well, he wants a whistle, it doesn't come his way. That's too far out in front. Even Josh Ward-Hibbert isn't going to catch that one.
Well, it's a very ambitious pass.
That's a good word for it.
That would have been very difficult to get that one on the money, and again, another turnover for the Lions outfit.
Well, even if he caught it, he would have been under the basket, I think. Here's Gordon, bobs it up and in for two. Thought for a second he was going to be trying to throw an alley-oop to Defoe, but he did just lob it in. Newcastle taking a stranglehold here, leading by 10. Robinson trying to do something about that, gets himself to the free throw line.
Well, this is great with Justin Robinson scoring more and doing more himself, but I think this is where we're going to see what we're going to be missing now from DeAndre Liggins. He's, as well as Justin Robinson, he's really good at creating opportunities for their teammates, whether that be penetration or making the right plays. And Justin Robinson, of course, has to allocate a lot of his energy here in time to scoring the ball himself. So how much does that take away now for creating for others?
Well, Liggins is number 2 in the league in assists behind Fletcher. Robinson is 4th in the league in assists, so players who certainly know how to create for teammates. Here's Edwards, creating for himself, but he doesn't get the roll. Robinson again, very aggressive, going to the hole. Newcastle quick to push it back the other way. Fletcher again gets to that left, it's 2 points.
Ramon Fletcher is just having a phenomenal day already, and he looks like he's doing it effortlessly.
14 points for Fletcher. As I said, his lowest scoring final has been 15 points. He's going to go past that today. Timeout has been called as Defoe bats that one out of bounds. And 3:34 to go in this game. And, well, London have to find some way of getting the scoreboard ticking. Just 10 points, Mike, in this second quarter for the Lions. They've got to get their offense going.
Yeah, and that's something we've brushed on, is that there doesn't seem to be a flow or a rhythm in their offense. I think they're trying to get stuck in and play a little bit of up and down basketball with the Newcastle Eagles, which is probably not the team that you want to be doing that with. But I look at them right now, and obviously they look a little bit depleted. You're missing guys like Lockhart, like Joe Kimwin, like Ed Lucas, and then you got your big fellas like Ali Hodzik and Taiwei. So there's a lot of guys not there for them. So it's a big adjustment for them to from one day to the next to be without half your team, and then obviously without Liggins, who's coming to the forefront as one of their best players.
2 of 10 from the three-point line as well. The Lions are going to have to knock those shots down. Given the makeup of the lineup that they do have, they are going to have to shoot better than 20% from the three-point line.
Yeah, I totally agree. Especially I think individuals like Kevin Ware. I think Derek Williams will settle more so into this game and be able to knock down those threes. But I think they need a little bit more from everyone else. And I think a positive sign early on is what Mike touched on. Everyone on the squad had scored, so you think, wow, this is great. You know, at least everyone's, you know, on course for putting points on the board. But since then, you see Justin Robinson with 12, and then the second leading scorer has 4, and everyone else is stuck on 2-4. So there's not really any consistent output from anyone else, all by this man, Justin Robinson.
Yeah, and if we talk about that 3-point, like, why are we settling for the 3 every time down the floor? You know, we're shooting 3s within the first 8 seconds of the clock on multiple possessions. You know, let's grind it out a little bit. Let's slow it down. Let's get a better shot at the basket.
Part of the reason that Justin is the leading scorer in the game is because he has been the aggressive one. He has been going to the line. So 5 of his points have come from the free throw line because he's attacked.
And that's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to create a lot off the dribble, which again, it takes a lot of energy and physical endurance to be able to do that consistently throughout the whole game. But no, look, we're in they are in very uncharted circumstances, and that you're going to need big players, former MVPs caliber players such as Justin Robinson to step up and be big for you.
Well, they come back out onto court. Parker and Robinson, Ward, Hibbert and Williams, and over in the far corner is Ware. Williams running around the screen. Parker's going to let fly from 3-point range, and that is a settle, as you said there.
Yeah, and another quick 3 within the first seconds of the possession. Let's keep moving the ball and find an open man.
That's a good steal from Ware in the open court. Kevin Ware all the way to the basket. Ward Hibbert again on the offensive glass, just couldn't get it to go. Defoe throws it down. Gordon all on his own. Gordon will jam it in.
Woo! Showtime. I think he was cherry picking down the other end a little bit, though.
Robinson into Parker. Cross to Ware. On to Williams for 3. Front iron. Poked away by Ware. Ball is loose. Edwards has it. Fletcher. Transition 3 is off the iron, but there's Edwards again. Tremendous rebounder of the ball for his position.
Yeah, the guy is averaging 7 rebounds a game, unreal for a guard his size.
Well, Robinson gets his own rebound on a missed 3. Nobody went after the ball, and Dirk Williams, that is a classic Williams finish there. The long arm reaching in for the lane.
Just pure athletic ability to be able to do that jump above and over the defender and finish nicely with the left.
Well, we've seen that a few times. The Fletcher to Defoe pick and roll elbow jumper. 12 points, the Lions trail. 100 seconds left in the first half. Ware up in the air and back down again.
Not sure what was a little bit of a miscommunication there, but if you're Ware and you call for the screen, then let's go. Let's use the screen. Let's get an action off the screen. When you hesitate, bad things happen.
Well, as soon as he leaves his feet here, it's the turnover is inevitable. I mean, London Lions, you can see, are starting to unravel a little bit here, and the Newcastle Eagles, they feed off this. They want the opposition to make errors, and that's how they put points on the points on the board in a hurry.
Same play, different result this time. Here's Williams. Still going. Dangakoto for 3. They've all been a little bit short. Edwards to Gordon. Rebound Williams. Williams now for 3. Boy, they needed that.
It's a big shot from Derek Williams, but it's a tough one. It's a deep 3. Not really a whole lot going on offensively.
Yeah, I think he thrives in those catch and shoot situations a little bit better rather than when he has more time or when he's trying to create off his own. Oh,
nice
geez.
pass from Defoe to Gordon for the jam. Well, Vince McCauley telling his team to run the shot clock here. Try not to give Newcastle too much time back the other way. Trying to get a score and get it to single figures, but they get a turnover instead. And Edwards running it back. And Edwards scores. Still a few seconds here for London. Got to go quick, though. Where drives all the way, lays it in on the buzzer. And the Newcastle Eagles will go into the half with the lead by 11 points here. Just pause for a second as if there was something to be said. I know Robinson wasn't very happy, thought he got fouled on the last play, and they were just having a word, but he'll be pleased, Coach McLeod, with what his team has done in this first half.
Yeah, I think so. They've been the aggressor, you know, and more importantly as well, their key players have showed up. Ramon Fletcher, 14 points, shooting the ball very, very well, as is his his partner in crime right now is Justin Gordon, who has been phenomenal, you know, not just finishing the basketball, but creating second chance opportunities for his team in offensive rebound and putbacks.
Well, he's got 8 of Newcastle's 27 rebounds to go with his 14 points. Justin Gordon. If Lions are going to win the ball, those shooting percentages have to go up in the second half.
They do. You know, you look at their three-point shooting in particular. You know, you've had individuals, Danga Kodu and also Kevin Ware, just not knocking down, you know, relatively open threes. Derek Williams is having to make contested long-range threes to keep that percentage up.
And both coaches, I'm sure, will be mentioning the 10 turnovers that they've had in the first half, wanting to look after the ball a little better, because some of the turnovers have come in awkward spots that have allowed for transition. And you can see Newcastle Eagles with 13 points off those 10 turnovers, and that is what Newcastle want to do to you. They want to turn you over and run it back for easy points where they can, and 26 in the paint as well, showing Newcastle's size. Let's go down courtside to Nat.
Thanks very much indeed, Ant. Ramon Fletcher, delighted to say, joins us now at the half. Ramon, it wasn't the most fluent start by any stretch, but the team really grew into the game as the half went on, didn't it?
Yeah, it's a cup final. When we're playing against a team like London that knows us and we know them, there's going to be growing pains in the game, and I think they're going through it as well, just like us. So it's about, and always in the final, the first person that gets used to the game and in the flow of the game usually prevails. So I'm glad we got into the game.
Well, a player that seemed to be very used to the game in the first half anyway was Justin Gordon. Talk about his contribution.
He's aggressive. He's an aggressive player. He's a big-time player. So anybody like that, that's what you expect. He plays hard, he rebounds, he gets his shots, and when something like that happens, he usually prevails.
Ramon, you love the big occasion, of course. 2 massive quarters coming up. There's still a lot of work to do here.
Oh, yeah, it's a whole lot of work to do. London is a great team no matter who they got. They can have 5 players, they can have 15 players. They're going to be a tough team, especially with Justin at the point.
We'll let you get into the locker room for the half. Thanks very much indeed for talking to us, Ramon.
Thank you.
Fletcher there, very much a player for the big occasion, and he is showing his class once again. So at Newcastle, they go into the half with a double-digit lead. Analysis next. Half-time in the BBL Cup final, and it is Newcastle that go into the locker room the happier team. 11-point lead at the half, and they really ran away from London in the second quarter. It was quite a scrappy affair to begin with, but Ramon Fletcher, Justin Gordon driving Newcastle. Justin Robertson, the leading scorer for the Lions, still very much in it, of course, but at the moment it's advantage Eagles. It was a fast and wild start, wasn't it? Lots of points, lots of mistakes too. The key, Mike Tuck, here has been the more dynamic shooting from both Gordon and Fletcher, as I said, just taking care of that side of it far more effective than London have been.
Yeah, 100%. I think, the biggest stat that sticks out to me here is 3 for 15, 20% from the three-point line for the London Lions, and it just looks like they're just not letting the offense come to them. They're trying to take quick shots, and they're kind of getting caught up in this Newcastle Eagles style of play, which is high-paced, up-tempo shots within the first 5-8 seconds of the clock. For me, slow it down. Let Justin Robinson find the right man for the shot, slow it down, make it a little bit more methodical.
Yeah, they're falling into Newcastle's trap a little bit, aren't they?
Yeah, definitely, and I see both teams with 10 turnovers. I know Coach McLeod was getting on with me. I'm sure he wasn't happy with the Newcastle turnovers at the start there, but London, they just, they talked about their chemistry recently. They just completely look out of sync.
Well, is that no surprise though, is it? When you look at how they've had to come into the game and put together, not the seven, certainly not the starting five that Coach McCauley would have preferred to start.
Well, what I thought was interesting is I looked at the seven and I'm thinking, wow, they've still got so much talent, but the chemistry of actually when they rotate. And early on, there's a couple of foul trouble, the smaller lineups, you've got shooters in shooting positions who are not shooters. So, yeah, it's just been a very disjointed performance, but at the same time, there's so much talent there on the London team that they're still staying within this game.
What do you think Coach McCauley's saying to his players now?
Well, I think, number one, let's look at the turnovers. We got to take care of the ball. It's been a bit chippy, bit scrappy, and in a game like this, you got to pay attention to the details. There's been so many deflections, so many little turnovers that give up points down the other end. And the second thing is let's slow the pace down a little bit, like we talked about. Let's slow it down. We don't need to be in a race with them. We can get our points in the half-court set.
And I think it's so hard to do that. The way Newcastle play, Cortez Edwards and Ramon Fletcher pressuring the ball constantly, they're telling you to speed up, speed up, speed up. So actually trying to slow the game down might cause more turnovers. So it's a very, very tricky situation to be in for London right now.
Let's talk about the speed and how that relates to this Eagles offense. Two key examples here, particularly some good examples of that fast transition.
Yeah, and I love this because it was the denying. They want no easy passes, and Gordon quickly gets that steal down the other end. He's so athletic, no one wants to mess with him. I think Shane Walker pulled away from that one.
Yeah, but also, like a guy like Shane, there's only two bigs in the game, so they've got to be wary of foul trouble. So, the inside presence from London, which is usually high and at a high level, isn't there as much, and we're seeing it with little pick and roll situations and Gordon going coast to coast.
Drew Lasker made the point this week about the extended time for both teams going into the game, 8 days and 7 days respectively, Newcastle and London. Of course, it's a different situation for London for obvious reasons, but did you detect that in the first half? Slightly scrappy, slightly sluggish at times?
Yeah, I think I always looked, when I was playing in the finals, historically, Newcastle always played on the Friday night beforehand. Right. And I think that you see the turnovers, a couple of missed shots earlier on, that's definitely just shaking some rust off. And from a London perspective, I was saying it's probably an advantage for them have not played the games, because now they're going to have to play big minutes for each player, but at the same time it showed in that first quarter.
Yeah, London's tiring is something I definitely want to get into. Let's take a look at the point guards though. Ramon Fletcher, we saw at the top of the show, identified as a big game player, and it wasn't the fastest start from him. As we chatted to him at half time, Mike, he made up for that.
Oh, 100%. You see there, coming off the pick and roll, going left. Here, Josh Ward-Hibbert goes under the screen and gives him space. So anytime he sees daylight, he's taking advantage of it. And yeah, he did start off slow, but as the game progressed and he got settled in and more comfortable, the points started racking up.
Almost for London. If he stepped up, what you made of Justin Robertson's first half?
I like the way he's playing right now. He's been really aggressive, which is, Justin has been a lot more passive because he's had that luxury, but he's attacking the basket there, obviously running the break, but he's been attacking the basket. He can shoot that shot wide open, looking for that shot in rhythm, knock that down. We know he's capable of doing that, But at the same time, like I said, for me, it's how aggressive he has been why London are still in this game.
Contrasting styles, and it's interesting as well in terms of communication in that position and how those players have got to adapt that communication to different personalities on their team.
Yeah, and you know, for Justin Robinson, that's going to be a bit of adjustment. You know, you've got more role players now that are playing a much bigger role and more minutes in this game that they're not used to playing. So, for him, communication, you know, he's got to stay aggressive, but he's also got to look to get other guys on the team involved. You know, a guy like Dirk Williams, I think, could really help them right now.
Those are the main men. What about the supporting cast? What do you made of some of the other contributions on court and half?
Yeah, I mean, it's for me, we've been very, very aggressive, but this is where they're playing at. You know, they're getting those hustle plays. Josh Ward-Hibbert was doing that. In this example, Orlando Parker, staying aggressive, getting those extra chances, and they're essential to winning games. This play here, I love the aggression by Robinson, but Williams with a big finish, and you know, that's a big highlight play. But the fact that he was chasing that, he was determined, he was in the right place at the right time, just because of that willingness to want to do that a little bit more for his teammates.
Let's talk about that tiring factor. That, of course, the London players are going to be putting in a serious shift today. How much do you think that could determine the course of this game?
Yeah, it's going to be a tough one. You know, fatigue is definitely going to set in, especially in this third and fourth quarter. And like I said, you know, you got players like Shane Walker and Akoto that aren't used to playing big minutes, that are going to be playing bigger minutes. But hey, this is the big stage. You know, this is for some silverware. The guys, you know, if it was me, I'm amped up. I'm ready to play. I'll play all 40 minutes if you give me the chance.
And actually, fatigue's not the biggest factor I'm looking right now. I'm looking at the foul trouble.
Right.
You know, you've got Shane Walker getting himself into foul trouble. Parker's in 2 fouls as well. If the bigs decide from Newcastle that they want to be enforcers, Gordon and Maxwell continue to go, you know, attack the inside. You know, it might be a long night for one. They might only have 5 players left to play with.
All right, 11 points is the gap at the half, so London's still very much in it. Second half, it's coming next.
Giving them 21 points before I worry about anything else this end. You take that away, it's over. Okay? So what I want to see is your belief in yourself. Okay? You control your own destiny with what we have to do now. Okay? Let's go and get some shots up while we have the opportunity.
So who's going to hold their nerve and land the first silverware of this BBL season? Newcastle have the edge, but the Lions have been built for the big occasion. Second half about to tip off, so let's get back to Ant and Dan.
Thank you very much, Nat. And it is the Newcastle Eagles with the 11-point lead and the ball to start the third quarter here. Important for the Lions to get off to a good start. Gordon looking to attack, and we talked at halftime, Mike, about Walker and the foul trouble. He did a good job there of getting out the way.
Yeah, I mean, listen, that's a tough thing to do, to go out there and play and think in your head, okay, I can't foul. So I think he did a good job. You have to pick and choose your moments when you can be physical and when you have to let him go.
Here's Robinson down to Parker. Parker gets all the way to the basket, didn't quite have enough to squeeze that one over the ring. Fletcher. Fluger nowhere to go. Maxwell at the free throw line, knocks down the jump shot.
Evan Maxwell won't miss too many of those, and he can even extend his range to the three-point line. Very, very good jump shot.
Walker for three. I think Edwards might have just got in his sight there at the last second. Fletcher looking to attack, leaves Robinson on the floor and scores.
Just a intent to get to the basket, all left, unstoppable.
Thrown away, it was deflected away, so will be a Lions possession.
Wow, Kieran commented on the uncohesiveness of this Lions team at the moment, and what they can't do is they can't get into a shoot-off with this Eagles team because the game will get out of reach.
Fluger knocking the ball loose. Sideline possession now for the Lions with 8 on the shot clock.
This first 3-4 minutes of the third quarter is always so crucial, especially when you're down.
Robinson, Ware for three, misses. Parker on the offensive glass, doing a good job to get points on the board for his team.
He is indeed, and they're going to need a lot more of that from him this half. Already a tall order, down by 13.
Maxwell in, jams it down.
Well, that's what he will have. He will have the freedom to roam inside because he knows Orlando Parker and Shane Walker doesn't want to foul, so he's going to have a little bit more freedom to do what he wants to in there.
Great pass from Fletcher as well to find him. Will that count? Yes, it will for Justin Robinson as he slices through the defense. And once again, he's at the line for an and one.
He's done a superb job of getting to the free throw line on that occasion. Gets the basket to go as well.
No, he misses the second free throw, Justin Robinson. That's actually the first free throw he's ever missed in a final, just as an aside.
Love that defensive effort from Dirk right there.
Trying to squeeze that one through, but it came off a foot. Fletcher trying to get it to Edwards. He does end up with the ball. Maxwell. Well, Edwards looks at Maxwell as if to say, wait a minute, why are you not going up there? What are you passing that to me for? As the ball goes out of bounds.
Well, Maxwell did the hard part. He got his defender with a pump fake on the three-point line. So, I mean, Cortez Edwards has a case there. I mean, someone of Maxwell's caliber can get to the rim from there.
Robinson just gets it to Williams. And it's out of the reach of Kevin Ware and another turnover.
This is what the London Lions can't do. They've got to play that near perfect game now. And you know, again, turnovers like that can't happen if they're with any chance here going into this fourth quarter to win this cup.
Fletcher lobs it up, broken up by Ware. Here's Ware in transition, going all the way, has his shot blocked, and it comes off Kevin Ware last. So it'll be a Newcastle ball. All the bench up there, they love that, Newcastle.
It was a really good defensive play. Rex Pfluger just staying with it. And as an offensive player, again, it's the worst sequence you can have, getting blocked and then the ball ricocheting off you to go out of bounds.
Edgeworth gets right to the basket for two.
God, he's crafty, gets to the basket. You know, just reading the screen, taking what the defense gives you, clean finish at the rim.
Deflected, but gets it to Walker. Ware trying to squeeze through a gap. There isn't really room. Walker gets it away in time and in for two very needed points for the London Lions.
Well, that offense won't go in the books as being the most fluent, but he got the ball to drop.
Here's Ware again looking to push. Slows it down. Williams in the corner. Rebound Gordon. Edwards transition three. Ware tips it, and Walker is able to secure possession. Robinson out to Ware for three. Just can't get one to go. 0 of 4 now, Kevin Ware. Robinson, he's off the mark. 3 of 20, London from behind the arc. Pfluger off the glass, and Newcastle getting to the basket. London missing threes.
Well, on that occasion, Rex Pfluger just bigger than his defender. A good 4 or 5 inches taller and using his strength to get all the way to the basket.
Here's Ware. Oh, he misses the layup. He looks frustrated, but Newcastle have gone the other way. Pfluger for the triple. Out of bounds. Did that come off Walker last? Yes, it did. Walker sits down. Let's have another look on the shot. Wow. Glad I'm not the referee.
Once a goal. It's easy when you got slow motion playback.
Robinson, Defoe in there, off the pass from Fletcher. A little stutter, called for the travel. It's at this end of the floor that Lions need to find something. Ware dumps off, and there he's certainly been active. Josh Ward-Hibbert all game. He's been a massive plus for them, really.
He has. A good sign of things to come for him, I think.
Yeah, definitely. I think he's a guy who's really stepped up in the last couple of seasons. Is really starting to develop his game.
Oh, great block from Dirk Williams. He's out in transition. Dangakoto sets himself and misses the three. And there's Ward-Hibbert trying to keep it alive with Dangakoto. Williams for three, and finally London get a triple to go. They've really struggled from behind the arc, but they somehow managed to get it. Great block at one end from Dirk Williams, and then with the hustle, he's able to make down the three. Great work from Dangakoto to keep that in.
Yeah, and I think we've seen an adjustment from Vince here. He put Dirk Williams on Fletcher to you know, put a little bit more pressure, a little bit more length on Fletcher. You know, gets a nice block there, comes down the other end, scrappy play, but ball ends up in Dirk's hands and knocks it out, knocks it down. So hopefully that helps his confidence moving forward.
Back-to-back all-star plays from Dirk Williams as well. It's a phenomenal block.
Let's go down and hear from Vince.
Okay, everybody gang rebound. You could switch every screen. I don't care. All right? But stay alive on the defensive end. We got enough weapons here to get this thing back. Okay? No silly fouls. Track back.
Well, 3 minutes and 49 seconds to go here in the third quarter. Just a little bit of momentum for the London Lions, trailing by 10.
Well, we couldn't hear what he was saying, Dan, but he certainly looks like a coach who was using inspirational words. I think he's a leader of men, and he'll be playing any script he needs to get his guys firing here as we approach the fourth and final quarter.
We might have needed the cough button if we were in there.
Well, the one thing you know about Vince is nobody cares more passionately about it than he does. And he, as he spoke so well in the pre-game, came here expecting to win and wanting to win, and they will keep going until the final buzzer, and he will keep driving, and whatever happens here in the last 13.5 minutes. Here's Fletcher. Had to say is in the corner. No. And here's Dangakodo. Dangakodo still going, and he's fouled by Matthew. Dangakodo goes down hard, but he is okay.
Hey, and I love that fire that London's just come out with all of a sudden. You know, they came out of that huddle. Vince has obviously got them fired up a little bit. We see they're a little bit more of a full court press there. We're putting a little bit more emphasis on defense. Leads to a turnover, and then, you know, a fast break down the other end. We're at the free throw line.
Well, the Lions they're a wounded animal, aren't they? It's literally fight or flight now for them. You know, you've got 13 minutes left of play, and you know it's a nothing to lose scenario, which can be the dangerous type of team in this scenario.
Well, we've talked all game about their three-point shooting. They're normally a very good three-point shooting team, and many of their good three-point shooters are still out there, and there is regression to the mean. At some point they might come back. Defoe gets it cross midcourt. Here's Fletcher down to Maxwell, and he's fouled by Parker. That's going to be his third.
Yeah, the whistle was a little bit later there, but it looked like there was a contact made. Ramon Fletcher, great job there. Doesn't pass the ball to the very last second where the defenders committed that little bit more, and as you can see, Orlando Parker was standing straight up, but a lot of body contact along with that.
I suppose 13 minutes to go to pick up the third. It's not, you know, we were more worried in the first half than we are now in foul trouble, I would have thought.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, hey, it's still a game here. Yeah. You know, we're under. You know, they've got it under 10. It's a game of runs. You know, I think London with a little bit more fire could bring it within 5 in the next minute or two.
Oh, an offensive rebound that Lions could have done without there. Here's Fletcher into Maxwell. Crowded out of it. Oh, is that on Parker or is it on Ware? Let's see what the number is from the referee. It is Ware, and that is a bullet dodged, although that is his third personal foul.
Great pass again by Ramon Fletcher, and just busy hands in there. Orlando Parker does a very good job there of just standing straight up.
Maxwell has missed a few free throws today, 4 of 7 from this distance. But he takes the lead back to 10. Dangakodo up to Ware. Working the pick and roll. Gets it to Parker. Two guys getting in each other's way. Here's Ward Hibbert. Drives along the baseline, finds some room. A little help from Parker, and he finishes.
Josh Ward Hibbert, shot clock winding down, but found a way to squeeze along that baseline. Nice reverse finish.
Maxwell driving down the lane, misses. Ware's on the floor wanting a charge. Here's Fletcher. Fletcher, finger roll, doesn't go. Ware has it. Out to Williams. He's going to take the three. Well, that's a good shot if it goes in. Otherwise, it's a defensive rebound. Oh, knocked loose by Ward Hibbert. Williams has it now. Defoe is back. Williams is blocked. And it will be a London ball. Well, Dirk Williams thought that was foul. I must admit, from here, I thought that was a foul as well.
I did as well.
I just can't believe that.
Here's another look at it with the steal. He's got Defoe going up against him. Oh, he does get a little bit of ball in there, Defoe.
A lot of bit of arm as well.
There's Dangakoda. Well, it's a better outcome for them because they get 2+1 now.
There's the good karma coming back to serve them well. They're still in the game here. Pulled it within 6.
Oh, you're right. Even when you talk about the foul trouble and foul management there, you've got Orlando Parker and Shane Walker all the way to this point of the game with 3 fouls. You know, at half time, you would have shook your hand and accepted that deal.
They can't turn it into a 3-point play. 2 to play here in the third. Lions edging their way back into this. Ware and Defoe collide. Defoe's on the floor. He's still down. Here's Edwards with the shot. Misses. Ward Hibbett with the rebound, and they're going to have to stop the game. And that's why they're going to have to stop the game, because he was in the way. And oh no, 2 of them have gone down. Ward Hibbett looks in trouble. Gordon's doesn't look too bad, but Ward Hibbett looked in a lot of trouble as he went down. A player who's had a lot of injuries in recent seasons. That is not something you want to see.
Well, hopefully it's just a collision injury. Nothing going on internally there.
Well, the rules of the game are you play on if a guy's down like that, unless he gets in the way of the play.
Looked like Defoe took a nice sharp elbow from Ware coming off the screen there.
And it was, yeah.
Well, London will feel aggrieved because they were on offense there, and essentially it was 5-on-4. So
but because he runs right at where Defoe is, they have to stop the game. If he's right, if the ball is where the player on the floor is, you have to stop the game.
Defoe actually took out Justin Gordon. So Justin Gordon, look.
Oh, it's actually Gordon trips over and then knocks Ward Hibbett down. That's how it.
Screened his own player.
Yeah. I wasn't quite sure how Ward Hibbett had gone down, but you can see anyway. Everybody is back up and playing, which is the positive thing. Here's Parker. Ward Hibbett. So with the swipe down at the ball, call for the foul.
Momentum has swung a bit here. Yep. You know, I think London have all the momentum in this third quarter right now.
Yeah, you can see by the reaction of Ramon Fletcher. He holds his head in his hands like, Darius Defoe, no, because it was a relatively stable defensive possession for the Eagles.
Dangakoda with blood on his hand is going to have to go out of the game. Didn't quite see how he did it, but Justin Robinson is going to check back in.
London winning this quarter 17-12, and very good response off the back of that timeout called by Vince, where he was rallying the troops.
Yeah. Well, I just think there must be some blood on the floor, so they're going to have to get the blood kit out to disinfectant out to clean it all up. So a little impromptu timeout here with 1:30 to go, and it felt at the start of this second half as if the Eagles had maintained that control, were about to pull away, but London have responded really well in the last 3 or 4 minutes.
Yeah, 100%. To me, the Eagles almost look like they've run out of gas a little bit. Maybe a little bit of fatigue's kind of settling in this second half, but it's a game of runs, and I think that timeout, halfway through that third there, that Vince called, really fired up his guys, and they managed to, still a little bit scrappy, but they managed to make some plays and get some finishes, get to the line down the other end. So now, can they keep that going into the fourth is the big question.
Well, it certainly is. The two coaches will have their work cut out to get things going in their own direction right now, but there is I suppose that actually the delay in the game has meant that Dangakoda has been able to sort the bleeding out on his finger. and not be substituted out of the game. They were going to bring Robinson in for him, but now that he's got the finger taped up, he's able to keep going.
Well, this run they're on now is surprisingly without their leading scorer, Justin Robinson. You know, Dangakoto's come in and provided the energy. And look, we're in a situation, we got COVID-19, we got snow outside, but it's the good old-fashioned blood on the floor that's delaying the game. Bring us right back to where we used to be.
London with the ball, trained by only 6. Williams for a deep 3. Doug Williams strings the triple, and London have cut it to 3.
Doug Williams doing what he does best, hitting big shots from beyond the 3-point mark.
And a steal. Here comes Williams in transition, and he jams it down. It's a 1-point game.
Dirk Williams has arrived, ladies and gentlemen, taking over this third quarter and single-handedly bringing the Lions back into this game.
Here's Gordon for 3. Big shot, rims out, batted out by Sayers. Edwards dancing, driving in under pressure. Wow, Kevin Ware couldn't do much more than that.
Cortez Edwards, you've seen this time and time again. Big play after big play, whether it's on the defensive end or the offensive end. Huge basket there from Cortez Edwards.
Poked away by Fletcher. He's really good at those timing those reach arounds to knock the ball loose. But it will be an end-line ball, and Robinson back into the game now for London. Somebody's getting treatment over on the London bench. I can't quite see who it is. Parker. 9, 8, 7, 6, Ward Hibbert 5, barreling his way through. It's denied by Defoe. Here comes Edwards again to the spin, throws it up high. There's a foul on the rebound. There was a wrap-up between Gordon and Robinson, and it's the London man who's called for the foul.
Wow, nothing being given easy, and Cortez Edwards spins away from the defender. Dirk Williams still there challenging, and it's Justin Robinson and Justin Gordon getting wrapped up.
No, that wasn't... you can see why Robinson had a bemused look on his face after that call. Here's Fletcher, tipped in by Darius Defoe on the buzzer to end the third quarter. Well, what a quarter that has been. Newcastle took the lead. Lions came all the way back, but with 10 minutes to play, it is the Eagles who have the advantage. It's 57-62 in the BBL Cup final here in Leicester. We will have the fourth quarter when we come back. Hello and welcome back to Leicester. It's the BBL Cup final. The London Lions trying to come from behind here to win back the trophy they won a couple of years ago. Back out to Robinson. Robinson down the lane, blocked by Gordon and out of bounds. Well, it is snowing outside pretty heavily. It's very hot in here in terms of the action on court. Plenty going on. In toward Hibbert. Step back three. Misses everything. Fletcher with the rebound. Fletcher. Here's Edwards. Took a turnaround, tough shot. Oh, Fletcher with the rebound, couldn't stick it back in. He had to go quick because of the shot clock. Ward Hibbert. Dangakodo, corner three is good. It's a 2-point game.
Dangakodo did a really good job of spacing the floor there, and nice push of the basketball from Josh Ward Hibbert to find him in the corner.
Oh, Fletcher, that's nice, but he can't score. Another rebound for Gordon. It's an offensive foul with the swing of the arm.
Again, the momentum changing. Uncharacteristic miss from Ramon Fletcher. You know, 9.9 times out of 10 he makes that. And then the swinging of the elbow there from Gordon, deemed offensive foul.
You wouldn't want to be on the wrong end of that elbow.
No, you wouldn't.
Another offensive rebound for Gordon, though. Double-double was fourth quarter. The energy levels haven't dropped one bit.
Well, a chance to potentially level the game here. Ware drives in, throws it away, though, straight to Pfluger. Pfluger running it back. Pfluger gets it away. And that's going to be another foul on Gordon going after the rebound. But again, Dirk Williams won't appear on the stat sheet for that, but he changed that shot and forced the miss.
Yeah, his timing is impeccable here. Look at that. Just getting up there and changing the shot. Like you said, it's not going to count as a block. It's not going to show up on the stat sheet. But it means a lot, and that's not the first time he's done that this evening. This afternoon, rather, sorry.
Third foul. It's nearly 5 o'clock. We're almost evening now.
Hey, it's almost happy hour.
Well, in an hour's time, one of these teams will be very happy. Which one, though? As Ward Hibbert drives in, Defoe with the rebound. Oh, he's thrown it too far from Fletcher, who can't keep it in bounds. And Fletcher pushes the rope over in frustration.
This isn't the most polished game. Oh, sorry, this isn't the most polished final we've ever witnessed, but the intensity levels are phenomenal. You know, this is the intensity level of a final. Both teams knowing now, as we creep towards, you know, the final whistle, the intensity levels are increasing minute by minute.
Well, it's certainly been intriguing. And there's still 8 minutes and 18 seconds left. Robinson has a mismatch with Defoe, takes the three. Justin Robinson puts the London Lions in front.
Signature Justin Robinson move, very composed, nice crossover with a clean finish.
Well, how do Newcastle respond now? Having led so comfortably at times, they're behind. Into Edwards, and that's how they respond. Oh, couldn't quite get the and one, but he will go to the line for two.
I believe that puts Ware on 4 fouls.
It does. Kevin Ware with his 4th personal foul. Well, no movement on the London bench just yet.
Well, again, on that occasion, it's the Fletcher, Edwards connecting with each other again. Ramon Fletcher, a really good job of penetrating baseline there, and Cortez Edwards cuts just as well as anyone else in the league.
Well, Coach McLeod will be more concerned now than he was just after the half, where his team looked in reasonable control, but the scores are separated by just a point now. Robinson to Parker, top of the key, knocks it down.
Great patience from the big man there. You know, had the little pop, but waited on the ball fake and took a clean 15-footer, knocked it down.
Edwards out to Pfluger, fakes the three, resets himself, knocks it down. Rex Pfluger, big shot.
What they say, you make some big plays at Notre Dame, and that was a big one there.
Robinson breaks his way through the defense, out to Ware to reply. Yes, Kevin Ware from behind the arc.
And hey, listen, he hasn't been having the best game, but it's all about timing. He showed up, big shot right there from Kevin Ware, very timely.
His first triple of the game. Lions by 1. Maxwell trying to go to work against Parker. Can't convert. Ware rises high.
Really good defense there. Stood strong, stood straight up, made things very difficult for Evan Maxwell then.
Just deflected, but it gets to Ward Hibbert. And that's going to be a foul on Defoe, who immediately turns to the bench and heads towards it after being called for what is his 4th personal foul.
The London Lions have got to try and incorporate Orlando Parker into the offense here now. He's only got 4 points, but you know, his last points were very composed, and he's been one of these in and out guys because of foul trouble today.
Williams, tough shot. Back iron. Good rebound from Gordon. His 13th of the game, 10th defensive rebound. Oh, Edwards is alone. That's just left him in a bit of an awkward spot. Robinson working with Walker, goes it alone, kicked out to Parker in the corner. He hits the triple, and the London Lions, who couldn't buy a 3 for most of the game, are now up to 9 made 3-pointers, and they lead by 4.
Well, they say if you keep shooting good shots, then the law of averages will come through. Orlando Parker, huge 3 in the corner.
You said it earlier in the game, man. Big players step up in big situations, and it's all about timing. And, you know, we've seen some huge shots from the London Lions down the stretch here.
Well, the Lions, I think, were 3 of 20. And at that point, I said there might be some regression to the mean. They're now 6 of their last 10. They're certainly going in the right direction from behind the arc, and it's forced Coach Mack into a timeout here. And 6 minutes to play, 5.5 minutes to play. His team suddenly down 4. What do?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it just looks like they've just gotten a bit stagnant on offense. They're just trying to look for the same things. You know, a couple of Maxwell possessions that didn't go their way, and they're looking for some stuff on the weak side, ducking in the post. We got to get more fluid. We got to get Fletcher involved, get the ball back in his hands. You know, I don't think he's scored in this second half here. So get Fletcher back involved in the game. Get the ball in his hand. You know, good things will happen when the ball's in that guy's hands.
And those shooting numbers, they were much lower for London. They've now actually taken over, really, in terms of where they are. But also, London forcing Newcastle into 18 turnovers here, and you think how even the turnovers were in the first half. I think it was 10 apiece.
Yeah, I think it's time now for Ramon Fletcher to take over this game. I think Cortez Edwards has been the one who's taken the reins so far in the second half, but they're going to need a little bit more production now for their star guys.
Well, here is Fletcher. Luger to Maxwell at the elbow, knocks it down.
Great action off the flex set there.
There's another one of those stars in Evan Maxwell, 15 points a game. Can score in a number of ways.
Robinson Kicks out, space for Ware, for three, stares it down because it's good, and the lead is 5.
Sometimes it just takes one make to get things going, and Kevin Ware is shooting like he's been shooting 100% the whole game.
Fletcher to Maxwell, knocked loose by Robinson, Ware out to Williams, Williams to the finger roll, and the Lions lead by 7.
What Kevin Ware did really well there, he didn't pass to Dirk Williams' hands. It was kind of like a ball through in football. He passed the ball ahead, and Dirk Williams was able to run into that.
Maxwell hits the deck, and it's a blocking foul on Shane Walker, which will be his 4th.
I think Shane Walker was really unfortunate there. I think Evan Maxwell leads with his body and initiates the contact.
Oh man, yeah, that's a charge or a no call if his feet were inside the circle.
Well, a timeout has been called with 4 minutes and 15 seconds to go in the game. Lions by 7.
It was one of those situations, you know, where two bodies hit and the sound of the bodies hitting the ground. The whistle didn't go, and the referees were all looking at each other thinking, we need to blow a whistle here, and they did that. And I think as a result, they made the wrong call in that instance. But wow, just the intensity and the bodies being thrown around down there.
Well, what a turn of events. You know, we looked at a London
Let's
team.
have another look at it. It can't be a charge because he's inside the no charge circle. So it's either an offensive foul or a no call, and there's a lot of contact for a no call.
Yeah, but if I'm Shane, I'm the defender. I beat him to the spot. I'm there. I'm straight up. I'm playing good defense. And if I get knocked over, I get knocked over. That should be a no call. I don't think he should get rewarded for that.
Yeah, I think Maxwell's looking for the contact there. He initiates it. He's looking for it. Either way, you know, Newcastle are going to have an opportunity here to close the gap, which is now extended to 7. Can you believe it? I never thought we'd be in this position here where we'd say the London Lions were up by 7.
Well, what were they down? 15?
The biggest lead was 15, yeah.
There you go.
The Lions, who had 18 in the first quarter, 17 in the second quarter, 22 in the third quarter, have 19 here in the fourth with 4 minutes to go.
Well, if you got a peak, do it later in the game.
Well, that's it. And they had only hit 2 threes in the first half, and now all of a sudden they're sitting at 10 threes for the game. So huge turnaround there from outside.
Maxwell, who's been to the free throw line more times than anybody in the game, is 6 of 9. He could do with being 7 of 10 and cutting this to 5. And he does.
He's been a big figure here in this fourth quarter for the Eagles. He's been that constant presence and been able to get them a basket here and there.
Quarter play, Robinson directing traffic. Park has it stolen away, and there's another big play from Cortez Edwards. Fletcher pulls up, strokes it.
That's just a big play from a big-time player. The degree of difficulty to do that, to run at full speed and be able to pick that ball up on the dime and release it. Such touch.
Walker puts it on the floor, drives the lane, turns it over.
That's 2 turnovers in a row from my big man driving from the top.
Robinson almost stole that away, but Fletcher gets it to Gordon. He's challenged, ball is loose, it's off Gordon, I think. No, it's not. It's a Newcastle ball. I thought from here it looked like it came off Gordon last. Let's see if we can see on the replay. It was a real scramble. Parker stayed straight up, and oh no, it might have come off Parker's head last. Good call. Sluga, Edwards. Gordon, corner 3, strokes it, and we are tied at 76.
Justin Gordon is no stranger to any big shot. Of course, if he didn't make the big shot against Leicester Riders, I don't think the Newcastle Eagles would be here right now.
Yeah, crucial three-pointer. 2 minutes, minute or so to go, and he's come up with a block, and Newcastle have the ball. We're inside the final 3. Eagles looking to reclaim the lead. Edwards is fouled. I think it's on the floor. Yes, it is. Robinson with a smart foul there.
Wow. I think Lions just have to compose themselves here, and Newcastle Eagles have done a stellar job of finding a way to insert themselves or reinsert themselves in this game.
Luger has just left the game. He's really hobbling, replaced by Sayers. He has got a lot of strapping on his knee, so whether it's related to that or not, he's getting treatment on the bench. Fletcher to inbound. Edwards attacks, composes, misses, gets his own rebound. Maxwell spinning, loses the ball, and where has it? There's going to be a foul on Maxwell as he tries to regain possession. That's his third.
Just hands everywhere. It feels like an NCAA game, the way the intensity is, and guys just doing anything and everything to regain possession.
Tied at 76. 2 minutes 30 to go in the cup final. Lions with the ball. Williams for three, misses everything. Oh, the way he's been shooting, you thought that was in. But a little bit too much adrenaline. Here's Maxwell. Sayers for three. He hits! Doing what he does in the corner. Don't leave that man open.
Classic Sayers.
Breakdown defensively there from the London Lions. They have to find a way to stay structured regardless of the craziness of this game.
Robinson. Parker takes the three, misses. It's a Newcastle ball. Edwards just beat Robinson to it. 100 seconds to play. Eagles trying to make it a two-possession game. Maxwell back to Fletcher. Fletcher to Edwards. Edwards misses. Maxwell with the rebound. Has to go up though. It is out of bounds and then the buzzer goes. So is it a shot clock or do they have to check that? They're going to have a conversation. Let's have a look. As the ball is right at the end of the play, just keep an eye on the shot clock as the ball goes out. Ooh, yeah, it's about 0.2, I would have said.
So Eagles won't have enough time to catch and shoot here.
Yeah, they will. That whole thing. They as long as there's time on the clock, they let it go these days. They're just talking it over as to what they feel the decision should be. It was very close. Wow. It's an important possession, whichever way it goes, with 1:21 to go. And they come to a conclusion. He wants to know why it's not a shot clock violation.
You gotta love Vince's enthusiasm. He is all over it. He's always passionate about this game, and I think that fire and that passion goes into the team as well. You see how after half the way they came out, he's a motivator, and I think that's probably what he did at halftime in the locker room, got these guys motivated to come out and play.
Well, it's been a massive part of where the position we're in now, isn't it? After that timeout, you saw a clear difference in not just the ability to make shots, but their mannerisms, their reactions to the stimulus that the Eagles were bringing on court. So, clearly it's worked, and he's in a position here where his team have a genuine shot. It's a 3-point game with 1 minute 21 seconds to go.
Well, it is a 3-point game, and one person you do not leave in the corner with 2 to play. Sayers, I mean, that's his game. Like on the scout report, corner 3 is what it tells you, and to give him that sort of space.
Yeah, I mean, you got to give hats off to the rest of the guys. They command so much attention, and then Sayers always knows to fire himself down into that corner because he's there for the kick out every time. And yeah, like you said, he loves that shot. That is the classic Sayers corner three.
But that's why it's so hard to win a BBL Cup, Mike. It's not just the energy or you bring in a good shooting night. It's you to mentally stay involved, to not take any plays off. And that's what the London Lions did on that occasion. They broke down defensively, they didn't locate their men, and they left the one guy you wouldn't want to leave open in the corner in Louis Sayers. And that can be the difference between winning and losing. I've been in these one-shot Cup finals before with Newcastle Eagles. If one of our guys shuts down in one play, it's the ball game. It's over, and you end up being runners-up instead of the winners.
Well, back out onto court. They haven't actually put anything on the shot clock, so I'm still slightly confused as to what the ultimate decision was.
Who are they going to here, Ant? Who do you think?
I don't know. I mean, the inbounder, I would say you got to go back to him and get the ball in his hands, but you've got literally less than a second. I think Justin Gordon, throw the ball up and they're going to try and get something near the rim. I think Justin Gordon is going to be the recipient here.
Yeah, I don't know. Sayers is looking real sneaky down low there.
He does.
But that's the thing about the Eagles. They got options. You know, they've got so many different players that can step up. You know, Edwards could hit a big shot. Gordon could hit a big shot. Sayers could definitely hit a big shot. And then you even got the opportunity to throw it up high and just let Maxwell go up and tip it in.
Well, Walker's come in to make the pass difficult here because he's tall, and Fletcher has to throw it over the top. There is 0.3 on the shot clock. So whoever it goes to has to throw it quick. It's lobbed towards Maxwell, and I don't think he got that off in time. You can't catch and go back down like that. Walker's done his job. Williams back in. So Lions get the ball back. They trail by only 3. There are 80 seconds to play. Defoe is going to come back in for Maxwell. Defoe, the man to protect the paint for Newcastle. Let nothing be at the basket. Here's Robinson. Back to Ware. Ware pressured. Gets it down. Woodhibbett, it slips out of his hands, and Newcastle get the stop they needed.
Huge defensive effort there from the Newcastle Eagles, and Josh Woodhibbett just tries to spin there, loses control. You wonder as well how much of that is just not playing. You know, remember, Josh Woodhibbett has been thrusting back into his career here, but he's been in the deep end, let's just say. It's an understatement.
Inside the final minute, once again, Newcastle with a chance to make it a 2-possession game. Big defensive play for the London Lions. Fletcher on the pick and roll. He's got the switch with Parker. Fletcher driving in, off the glass. Oh, what a rebound from Gordon! He fights his way through. Huge play from Justin Gordon to give them a second chance. Fletcher goes again. Fletcher fighting his way through. It goes! Ramon Fletcher with the hands down. Calm, fellas. Calm, I've got this. What a finish. First of all, what amazing rebound that is from Gordon.
Huge rebound from Justin Gordon, and what that does is it moves him into the very elite club. 15 rebounds is a record in a BBL Cup final. He just does that, and in one of the final plays of the game, to give the ball in the hands of Ramon Fletcher, a proven 2-time MVP, to potentially give him that winning game basket.
And I think Akoto did a great job on defense there. He took away the left, but somehow, some way, Fletcher gets down the middle and still finds a way to get a shot off with his left. And a nice little roll in, put them up 5.
Yeah, Ant's right. 15 rebounds, surpassing Brandon Peel's 14 against Glasgow in 2019. I'm sure Kieran will be pleased to see that one out of the record books. But 31.8 seconds to go. So London need a score. Presumably they'll advance the ball here. They need whatever it is, whether it's a 2 or a 3, it has to be quick.
Yeah, quick bucket. Let's get a quick bucket, and then let's get the clock start. Go for a steal, get the clock stopped on the other end.
And the problem that they have is they still have one foul to give if they want to get into free throw shooting situation. This is where not trying to avoid fouls can hurt you late in the game if you need to stop the clock. But first of all, get a score. In an ideal world for Vince, score and a steal.
Interesting to see who they go with here. Do you go with the guy that's brought you all the way here in Derek Williams, or do you go with Justin Robinson?
Well, they're running Dirk off screens. Robinson's open on the far side, but it goes to Ward Hibbert, who drives hard, and Defoe, whoa, he almost took the referee out there, Josh Ward Hibbert. Defoe with the foul. Those arms anything but straight up. They never even started straight up.
Yeah, I think Defoe needs to just back off there and let Josh Ward Hibbert make a difficult shot there, because that's essentially what it would have been. He attacked the rim there from the left side, which is his weak side.
Both coaches subbing defense and offense. Maxwell in for Defoe. Ware sits down for Dangakoda. These have to go in for Ward Hibbert. Oh, he's missed the first. Oh, the clock. Somebody must have knocked the cable. The clock on top of the basket has gone off. And the basket that Ward Hibbert, you can see there's nothing on it. It should say 29.0 on the clock. There are photographers on the baseline, whether one of them has jimmied it loose or something. Well, this is not what Josh Ward Hibbert needs while he sits there and thinks about this free throw. Well, some time while it gets sorted out. Well, you would look at it here, and with 29 seconds to go, Newcastle are going to have two possessions. London, if they can't get a steal on the inbound, somehow they have to get two quick fouls without any time expiring off the clock.
They do, yeah. It's got to be a knee-jerk reaction. No steal foul straight away.
Well, they're just trying to solve the problem, so a little bonus timeout for the two coaches. There we go, it's come back up. Look at that. As soon as the team players walk away, it's straight back onto the... straight back up on there.
Justin Gordon with a monstrous 17 points and 15 rebounds.
Well, if Newcastle do win, you think it's either him or possibly Fletcher with his 20 points and 8 assists. As I say, he's never had a bad final, Ramon Fletcher. 4 MVPs in 8 appearances. And he's not been too far away from the reckoning in the other ones that he's played as well.
Well, again, is his consistent display that he's shown us year after year. And Justin Gordon too, if he makes one more defensive rebound, he would tie the all-time defensive rebounds. A guy called Ant Rowe back in 2013.
I can't remember that block down. Ward Hibbert knocks it down. They need a steal, if not a foul. Sayers gets it in. The trap. It's away to Gordon. It's away to Sayers. Maxwell is fouled. It's an unsportsmanlike foul, and that will probably do it. Justin Robinson too aggressive with the foul, and Newcastle Eagles are 22.2 seconds away from becoming BBL Cup champions.
Wow. The pressure was really good there from London. They just didn't execute like they should have. They should have fouled a lot earlier. Tried to go for the steal, I think, a little bit too long. And what that does is it just eats away the clock, and the clock is not on their side.
Well, Maxwell, it isn't really the end of the world if he doesn't make both of these. I don't know what Fletcher was doing there. Fletcher walked in like he was about to take the, take the second free throw. But it is Maxwell, who quietly has had 16 and 6 in this game. 17 and 6.
I thought he's been really big for them in this fourth quarter.
Yeah, and the third. I think he was the one who kept ticking them over throughout the third as well. Solid performance.
London really have to steal it now. It's into Fletcher, they're going to foul, and that is the one that sends them to the line, but you're sending Fletcher to the line to make it a 3-possession game.
And give him a stronger case for MVP of the game.
Yeah. Just move his. I mean, efficiency-wise, Gordon is well clear. Oh, Fletcher's missed the first. Well, this one, if it doesn't go in, London still feel they've got a chance here with 20 seconds to go. But if it goes in, surely not. It does go in. Lions are going to come down a quick 3. Robinson almost loses it. Dangakodo deflected away. They've lost 10 seconds. And Newcastle Eagles are on the brink. The BBL's most successful franchise is about to add a new one to the cabinet. Robinson fires it up. It goes out of bounds. And Newcastle will just inbound it. And they're there. It's in, and time will expire. And the Newcastle Eagles have done it again. They are the BBL Cup champions. They've been pushed all the way by the London Lions, but they just had enough to get themselves over the line in the closing minutes. A dramatic final for so many reasons, but the Newcastle Eagles are the champions.
Yes, they are, Dan. They just add another cup to their trophy cabinet, and boy, did the big players step up. The Ramon Fletcher jumping around the court at the moment. Absolute elation. He's won 3 before, but this one won't be any less of an accomplishment for him. And you can just see with a smile on his face, and what a game he's had. 21 points, phenomenal display from him. But look, he's was supported by some very, very good performances in his teammates. Justin Gordon is an absolute monstrous double-double. Defoe making big plays, Rex Pfluger making some big plays, but Evan Maxwell and Cortez Edwards come up big when they needed to.
Well, Fletcher has played in 3 cup finals. He's won them all. This is his 4th. He's 4-0. He's been MVP in all 3 of them as well. He might be under pressure on that streak, but he will celebrate long into the night with his teammates. And the Newcastle Eagles have done it once again. Their 33rd final. They've now won 20 of them. They just know how to get it done. A 7th win in a cup final to improve to 7-4. They won 3 years in a row from 2015 to 2017. They've not been to the final since, but they got back this time around, and they certainly took the hard road, going through such a great group. Let's go down courtside and hear from Nat and the team.
What an incredible game. But this is what great teams do, isn't it, Kieran? They close it down when under pressure.
Yeah, it was just it was such an exciting game. Obviously, I saw London get back into the game. I was thinking, oh wow, Newcastle have let this go, but they just stuck with it, made big plays, big rebounds, big offensive rebounds, and I think that was the big difference in the game. They just found a way to win.
Ramon Fletcher, Justin Gordon, the Clutch brothers, no surprise they were in the thick of it right at the end.
The Clutch brothers, I love it. Yeah, no, they were great. I think Gordon especially, the way how aggressive he was on the boards, especially on the offensive end, creating second chance opportunities all over the place. And then, you got Fletcher, the man of the hour down the stretch. He made big plays, he hit big shots, a little bit quiet through the third, but was able to turn it up in the 4th when it mattered.
Yeah, that's a great point, because he started the game, well, the very start was slow, but then, of course, as the first half went on, he was instrumental. Then went quiet in the 3rd quarter, then stepped it up and made those key plays. 20 points from him, 8 assists from Cortez Edwards as well.
Yeah, together those guys are tremendous on the floor. But yeah, Fletcher really turned it up. Those 8 assists were huge, and that final bucket, the fadeaway with the left down the middle right at the end, and it drops in. That was the final nail in the coffin.
He loves a big game, doesn't he? Credit to Vince McCall in the Lions. They played with such intensity. At one point, it looked like it was theirs.
They looked so dejected at one point that you just thought, okay, Newcastle were just going to pull away. But for some reason, I think it was actually that Dirk Williams' big three-pointer. It just reignited them. And, you know, Vince
had back-to-back baskets, didn't he? That seemed to be the real shift.
Then they got the steal and they scored down the other end. And they just believed. They started believing again. And when they had that belief, they were right there. Like it was there for the taking. It was a great finish to the game.
I mean, they were down the Lions 15 at one stage, Mike. It's testament to the motivator that Vince McCauley is.
Yeah, we were talking about that up in the booth, that like Vince really lit a fire under them. You know, I think it was after that timeout midway through the third quarter, they really just turned it on. You know, they started the game with only 2 threes. They were shooting about 15%, and then all of a sudden they hit 8 threes going down the stretch. So finished with 10. So that was the big thing. You know, they were able to turn it on. Players like Dirk really got it going, you know, big threes, big steal, big dunk. That's what you needed down the stretch. But in the end, you know, they ran out of gas a little bit.
In the end, they ran out of gas and ran into Newcastle, one of the most successful teams in the history of the BBL, doing it once again. They land the first silverware of the season. So let's get back over to Ant and Dan for the trophy lift.
Thank you very much. Yes, and a second trophy for Coach McLeod, of course, won the BBL trophy what was the final game of the last season, and they've got the first one on the board here. The BBL Cup back in the hands of the Newcastle Eagles. But credit to the London Lions, all the adversity that they've had to deal with over the last couple of days. They've came here and, you know, they were a couple of minutes away from winning this game. They get up 7 points in the fourth quarter. They had all that momentum, just couldn't quite get it over the line.
Dan, they were down by 15, you know, world against them. You'd think, look, you throw on the towel, you lose by 20-something points here, but they didn't do that. And Vince McCauley, I have to give him credit here as well, the coach. I think he did a phenomenal job of motivating his guys today. And we saw some big, gutsy performances from Josh Ward-Hibbett, Derek Williams, Justin Robinson. They were very, very hearts of a lion today.
Well, that's the thing. There wasn't very many of them, but they all left it out on the floor. And well, they have to go and collect their medals, and of course in this COVID world they literally have to go and collect them themselves. There's no presentation party. They just have to come up and get their medals, and you know, very disappointing for them today. It's not what they came for, and well, you can see from the pictures how heartbroken they are. I'm not sure those mementos will be sitting pride of place anywhere.
What this can do, though, Dan, this can propel them to the next level for the remainder of this season. You know, you've already lost in one cup final. You came very close. You haven't quite got it done. Remember, they've got the trophy. They've got the league championship. They've got the playoff. You know, it's not like this is the be-all, end-all and this is the end of the season. Losses can have an immense positive effect on a team going forward.
Well, Vince McCauley, no prouder lion than he. And he applauds the Newcastle Eagles as he collects his memento. But as you say, they will be back another day, the London Lions. I'm sure we will see them in at least one more final this season. Tough road in the trophy. Obviously the playoffs still to come. But they have given everything they could here today. Unfortunately for them, it was just a little bit short.
You've got to take a moment as well to feel for the guys that couldn't be here. You know, I'm sure they're watching at home, wishing they were here, wishing they could help their teammates, and you know, through no fault of their own, I'm sure they weren't able to compete today.
Well, the Newcastle Eagles have been through this for many a long year. Fluger got injured late on, hobbling up to get his medal. Next up, Maxwell, 17 points and 6 rebounds for him. Cortez Edwards, the rare feat of winning back-to-back cups with 2 different teams.
Very impressive and no coincidence.
Lewis Sayers goes up and Darius Defoe goes up, and Darius now the most successful player of all time in the British Basketball League. He was tied with Fab Flanoy. He now has 26 titles to his name and is out on his own at the top.
Wow, incredible.
And Gordon Fletcher Those two played such a massive role in it, and they collect theirs. And now we've got one more presentation, the MVP, and our host Simon will tell us.
But with 17 points and 15 rebounds, number 24 for the Newcastle Eagles!
For his record-breaking rebounding evening, as well as his 17 points, it is Justin Gordon who is the MVP tonight, and his teammates celebrate with him. A tremendous performance, a massive rebound down the stretch that virtually won the game.
Game-changing rebound there, offensive rebound to get the ball back in the hands of Ramon Fletcher, who iced the game with that shot. But just incredible effort from him on both ends of the floor the whole game.
Eagles now, and his assistant Ian McLeod and Mark Elderkin to come up and pick up their trophies as well. And we're going to get the rest of the team.
It was one of those jobs following Fab Flanoy. How do you do that? What do you bring? Well, he's been to 2 finals and won them both.
Everything he could have won, he's pretty much won, and he's an incredible, let's just say, passing of the torch of a legend in Fab Flanoy.
And now we will ask the captain of the Newcastle Eagles to come up and pick up your trophy.
Wow.
And there's 3 of them.
They're tag teaming it today. It's Fletcher, it's Lasker, it's Defoe. They've done this before. They inspect the cup, make sure it's ready for them, and they will take it back to their team. And the Newcastle Eagles are the 2021 BBL Cup champions. Well, the ticker tape flies, and as we've seen so many times down the years, Newcastle Eagles are celebrating. Their fans will be celebrating at home as well, no doubt about that.
Oh, I'm sure they will, Dan. This is a club, this is an organisation that this is well within their expectations. Every single year, the Newcastle Eagles are expected to feature on some sort of trophy or championship. And what a great start to this campaign to get the first one in the bag.
Well, they will pose for the pictures. They've done this before. Let's go back down to Nat at courtside.
A really interesting game, wasn't it? Because at the half, although we didn't want to count the London Lions out, Newcastle looked in control. Then it all changed.
I felt they were in control. Even the start of the third quarter, I was just waiting. London slowly got back into the game, but you still just weren't believing in London. You just felt that Newcastle had enough, and then all of a sudden the game just completely changed on its head. So, I mean, all credit to Newcastle to be up, then to go down, to then get back into the game. It was, that just shows you the sign of a really good team.
Inevitably, people will talk about the adversity that London had to deal with. Of course, the fact they were short-stacked today. How significant was that in the end for you?
Yeah, I mean, you can always play that game of what ifs and all that, but at the end of the day, Newcastle won, and in about 10 years' time, everyone's going to look back and just see that in the win column. But it's extremely unfortunate, and I feel for those London Lions players, especially the ones that are sitting at home right now and watching from home, kind of that helpless feeling. They felt they could have been here to help them push them over and get that win.
What will London take out of this, given the week that they've had?
I think that they've got fight. I think that, that's the only positive I can see from this. The group came together, different rotations, different chemistry, and they were down, and we thought they were out, but they actually showed that they still had some fight. So I'm sure they'll be motivated to continue for the rest of the season, get their players back healthy, and make a dent. Because the big one is essentially the playoffs. That's what you kind of really want to aim for. But you've got the trophy, you've got the playoffs, you've got the championship. There's so much basketball to play. I think Vince said it best before. After the first loss they had to Newcastle on Sky. He was saying so many games, but I think there's so many games still left to play.
There's a long way to go. Certainly accentuate the positives. I know somebody who will be doing that right now. Let's check in with our MVP, Justin Gordon, who is courtside. Justin, congratulations. What a game, what a win. How special does this one feel?
Man, I can't even describe it right now. I'm just happy, to enjoy this moment with my teammates. It was a crazy game, tough game, but we stuck it out and we got the dub. So that's all I can say right now. Yeah,
it was a crazy game, wasn't it? Given it looked as though you had it, if not completely closed at the half, certainly in control, but credit to London and how they fought back.
London's a tough team. No matter if they got, 15 guys, 7 guys, they're going to come out there and fight. So, and they're a great team on the run. So we knew that they were going to come out and hit more shots. But, you know, we didn't do enough to stop that in the third, but, you know, we held it out.
And your game-closing rebound at the end there, are you going to be playing that a few times on the coach back?
Nah, I got enough memories in my head, so we're going to just enjoy this time with our team and enjoy the ride back, you know, enjoy this for a little bit until we get back to the regular season games. What
will this win mean for the Newcastle Eagles fans, given the year that we've all had?
It's tough, you know. I wish the fans could be here to enjoy this with us, but you know, situation going on. But you know, we just gotta enjoy what we can. You know, just get the response on the social media. You know, we appreciate their support. We know they're watching, so everybody out there, we thank you, and we got this. We bring this home for y'all.
And one quick line on Ramon Fletcher, who we just saw have a brief cameo there in this interview. What a performance from him! Talk about his contribution today.
Man, Fletch held us down when we were down, had our heads down a little bit, a little slow in the game. So he kept us in it. You know, when I told him probably about the third quarter we had our little slump, I was like, I'm out here with you. I got you, man. And he came back and he hit those big floaters, hit those big threes, and led us like he always does. So I already know what I'm getting from Fletch every game.
Congratulations on a terrific performance. What an immense performance from him, stepping up, a real clutch Newcastle player.
Yeah, definitely. And I say that, you know, I love to watch him play. He's just so, you know, athletic, physical, aggressive. But it was the big rebounds down the stretch. I think he finished with four offensive rebounds today, and that was, for me, that it was game changing.
All right, we have the winning coach courtside now as well. Coach Mack, congratulations. How does this one feel?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, finals seem to be crazy. I don't think this is normal, the last two we've had. But yeah, really pleased to get to this point.
After controlling much of the first half, you had a real game on your hands, didn't you, in the second half?
Listen, we were on the other side of this last year. We lost 3 players 24 hours before the game. There's too much pride in that team, on any team, to go away. I said it before the game, adversity, that's where growth occurs. So we knew they were going to fight the whole time.
It looks like the celebrations are coming thick and fast, so we'll let you go back and enjoy that with your teammates. Congratulations, Coach.
Thank you very much.
And of course, they can really build on this.
Yeah, and that's what you know, I was talking about London saying they wanted to win all the trophies. Well, they don't have a chance to do that now. Newcastle do, so I'm sure they're wanting more.
How will they take this win in terms of their bid for winning the league this season?
It's going to be a massive step in the right direction. You know, London was that kind of team that kind of had their number, and now that, you know, that's just one step of overcoming that is beating that team that you kind of had in the back of your mind. So this will definitely help them moving forward. It gives them a lot of confidence, you know, heading towards the rest of the regular season, but also into the trophy, playoffs, etc.
Okay, as you both said, a lot of basketball to come, but the moment for now is Newcastle's, their first win of the season, the first silverware, I should say, of the season. We're back on league duty next week up in Glasgow, where the Rocks host the Surrey Scorchers. Our first look at the season at them, of course. It's a 7:30 tip, all the build-up from 7 o'clock. My thanks to Kieran and Mike. Congratulations to the Newcastle Eagles BBL Cup winners.